Okay, thank you very much, Kara. We'll hear from Kara in the next half hour as we continue to get ready for the baseball today. But we are talking college football, and instead of looking ahead, we're going to look back a little bit, because anytime Michigan gives up 424 rushing yards in a game, you have to talk about it. And I say that given the fact they've never given up 424 rushing yards in a game. So we've never not talked about them giving up 424 in a game.
And they won.
They won. That's what's so amazing. John Navarre leading the comeback, 31 fourth-quarter points. But as you might imagine, the media is always focusing on the negative. People wanted to talk about the rushing defense. Lloyd Carr.
The way they can just impose their will on a team.
Well, I think first and foremost, they're a team built to run the football. From the standpoint of their personnel, they've got four outstanding tailbacks. They've got a good number of tight ends that are mature veteran guys that can block on the perimeter. And they spend most of their time running the football and throwing the football off of play action. They're not a team that drops back and throws the football much. When you drop back and throw the football, you have to spend an inordinate amount of time on protection. If you can't protect your quarterback, and that is the most difficult part of the passing game, and certainly the most critical. You can have all the great routes, you can have all the great receivers, you can have a great quarterback, but if you can't protect the quarterback, so that takes a lot of time, and everybody has the same amount of time. You know, it's not like you can practice longer than someone else. So we've tried to be a balanced football team. And to my great disappointment right now, we are not a balanced football team. I think that's in this game, a lot of times teams can take away the running game or make it very difficult by bringing 8, 9 guys up. In some of the games we played this year, that's what people have done. In the Minnesota game, we just did not block as well as we're capable, and we missed a couple of cuts in there. We had, some of those problems. So when you don't, that game we just did not, execute like we need to execute.
Well, in the fourth quarter especially, it looked like the communication between John and the receivers was as good as it's been all year. They were reading the defense while making the cuts, and he read it too. I mean, did you see that on film that they were in sync?
Well, I think, I think we had what I look for when I'm studying the tape is in a passing attack is every single receiver running hard. Running routes hard, because if they are, that's what stresses a defensive back. That's what stresses a linebacker. And a lot of times that receiver on the backside of a play, he knows that he probably won't get the football unless he's the third or fourth read. So, but if you have guys that are running hard, and I really think that's one of the reasons that we were able to hit one of the biggest plays of the game, and that was to Braylon on the long touchdown pass, because he had come off hard all day long, and all of our receivers had. And most of the routes that they ran were out cuts or dig routes or comebacks, and all of a sudden, off that same look, he was able to beat him deep. So. I think our receivers, those young kids, Avant and Breston, they should get better every week because as they gain experience, they've made some mistakes in games that are going to happen when you're a young player, and you have to live through some of those mistakes. So. Yeah, they did a good job.
Now that you've seen the film,
Well, Lloyd Carr's passing game is getting better as they get ready for Illinois. The run game is not. Chris Perry still leads Big Ten players in rushing yards per game. It's narrow over Fred Russell, and then you see Marion Barber and Jason Wright both over 100 as well. But just 78 yards per game for Perry in the last 4. I mean, this is a team that got outrushed 424 yards to 94 against Minnesota. And as Ivan pointed out, Coach, they still managed to win the game, and they did so because of John Navarre's performance, and he's been so much maligned. What do you make of the performance of Navarre there, particularly in the fourth quarter?
Tremendous. Anytime you've been 0-6 on the road against any team that's ranked in his career, and everybody at home getting on you on the radio, on the internet, everything, his back was to the wall, and he rose to the occasion and really showed a lot of poise, mixing up his routes, throwing the screens with a lot of authority. He was just the difference there, and I was impressed with the coaching job that Lloyd Carr did throughout the game. You usually don't get to see a game on Friday night, and this was a great venue for all the fans to see a Minnesota team which was very talented, and this play right here turned the whole game around with the interception and put Michigan back in the game. But you know, I just think if they look at their season, everything's ahead of them. They still got a shot to win the Big Ten now with Ohio State coming in there playing them and Purdue playing them. Both those games will be at home.
Well, Jim, to me, that's the key. I mean, I don't know if Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten, but they've got the best schedule to win the Big Ten. Of all the ranked teams, they only play 3 of them. 2 of them come into Ann Arbor. And the only other point I wanted to make, you, Dave, talked about Chris Perry and his rushing average down to 122 yards a game. That's how many receiving yards he had against Minnesota Saturday. And if they can develop that weapon, then he's still going to be very dangerous.
That doesn't really matter how you get the yards. I mean, if Oklahoma has taught us one thing this year, it doesn't matter how you get the yards as long as you get them. And certainly they did get them, at least in the fourth quarter against Minnesota after getting nada in the first half. Crazy game.
Homecoming weekend in Ann Arbor. The 17th-ranked Michigan Wolverines, coming off a dramatic win last week at Minnesota, are back home to play host to the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Kickoff coming up, but first we check in with the Big Ten studio, Mike Gleason and former Ohio State coach John Cooper.
Thanks, Wayne, and hi, everybody. Welcome back for some more Big Ten football as we return to the Big House today. Alongside the only coach to win a Rose Bowl coaching in the Pac-10 and the Big Ten, he's John Cooper. I'm Mike Gleason. Great to have you with us today. Now, Coach, people question the Wolverines after the Oregon and Iowa losses. Last week, they scored 31 fourth-quarter points. Is that the type of game that can propel Michigan into being the team that we all expected them to be this year?
Mike, when you go on the road and you come back, you're down 28-7 in the fourth quarter, and you come back and win that football game, there's no question. I think that's a confidence builder this Michigan football team needed.
Quarterback for Illinois, John Butcher. He's banged up. He's not going to play. They're going with Chris Payson, a redshirt freshman. The team is 1-6. You're the head coach. What do you tell these guys to lead them to believe they can go into the Big House and beat Michigan?
Well, one thing you got to do, you got to go to your senior football players and say, hey, we need the best football game you've ever played in your life. You got to block a punt. You got to intercept a pass and run it back for a touchdown. You probably got to pray a lot during the week also.
All right. Well, that's honest anyway. Last week, Bill, the separation Saturday, when looking at the national picture, when you point the spotlight on the Big Ten, that moniker really fits this week, especially starting in Columbus at 3:30 with the Iowa Hawkeyes.
A big showdown in Columbus, Ohio, between Ohio State and Iowa. The big left tackle from Iowa, Robert Gallery, is the best offensive lineman in college football. I think he'll be the first guy taken in the draft. Here's Will Smith, the defensive end. It'll be a great matchup. Will Smith's probably the best defensive end in college football. As you can see, he had a great ball game against Wisconsin last week. It'll be a great matchup in Columbus.
You talk about Robert Gallery. What does he go, about 6'5", 330, his hair down to his shoulders? He kind of looks like a mythical character out there.
And he's mean. They tell me he goes bear hunting with a switch.
He's that mean?
He's that mean. I'd take him on my football team. He'll be the first guy taken in the draft.
Coach Robert Reynolds, the Ohio State linebacker, suspended for choking Jim Sorgi last week. Not to drudge up old news, but this does pertain to this game because Reynolds is going to be missed.
They're going to miss Robert Reynolds. This is uncalled for. This is not like Robert Reynolds. He apologized during the week. I think the NCAA should handle this. He should have been kicked out of last week's ball game. Plus, he's going to sit out this week's game. They're going to miss him, though, as you mentioned. He's the second leading tackler on that football team. They're going to start a young sophomore, Rob Carpenter, in his place, but they'll miss Robert Reynolds.
Another game that wouldn't be bad to have a ticket for this afternoon. Purdue, Wisconsin, both teams with solid running games. So I guess the obvious question I pose to you, the team that hits a few passes might have the edge in this one.
Well, no question about it. I think Purdue has the edge because they can throw the football a little better than Wisconsin. Here we see Kyle Orton, the quarterback for Purdue, go back. You know, everybody's playing man underneath coverage. See the linebacker here with his back to the ball covering the tight end. This opens up running lanes. And Kyle Orton right here is going to pick up about 20 yards because when you got your back to the football, obviously there's no defenders. Once you break the line of scrimmage, you got an open field to run the football.
Coach Anthony Davis led the nation in rushing last year. Of course, he's expected to play today. He's had that bum ankle. You have Stanley Booker, a third stringer, rushes for over 100 yards against Ohio State last week. You're the head coach. Do you wait till Anthony Davis is completely 100% healed?
You start Anthony Davis. If he's healthy, you start him. He's the best running back on your football team, and this is a big ball game. I think Purdue right now might be the best team in the Big Ten Conference. You do everything you can to win that football game. You play Anthony Davis.
Well, Davis is expected to play today. Michigan State, Minnesota, both 6-1, a game with two marquee offensive players in this one.
I think two of the best football players in the Big Ten. Jeff Smoker, the Michigan State quarterback, as we can see him here, he's doing a great job, second in the Big Ten in throwing the football, second total offense. And on the other side of the ball, we've got Marion Barber, who I think is the best running back right now in the Big Ten. Mike, he's averaging almost 7 yards a carry, 196 yards rushing last week against Michigan.
Yeah, not too many people run for 196 against the Maize and Blue. Now, turnover margin, when you were the head coach, you always stressed you got to have on the plus side. Michigan State's doing a great job.
This is the reason they're one of the best teams in the Big Ten right now. They're plus 12 in the turnover margin. You give any football team in the Big Ten two more opportunities during the game, you're going to win the game. Turnovers is the turnover margin is the biggest difference between winning and losing a football game.
Well, John Navarre has climbed to the top of the Big Ten passing charts. All he wants is a Big Ten championship. Back with Coop's thoughts on the Michigan quarterback as the Big Ten pregame show continues. Time now for a look at the tailgating scene in Ann Arbor, Michigan, presented by the all-new GMC Envoy XUV, the most adaptable SUV ever. Tailgating, a part of the landscape during college football season, and the tailgaters were out in full force outside the walls of Michigan Stadium getting ready for homecoming 2003. Coach John Navarre, he's a really interesting story. He's taken a lot of heat at Michigan. He's broken a lot of records. He has not won a Big Ten championship, but yet you tell me the NFL scouts rank this guy pretty high.
Well, the NFL scouts like him. He's got good height. He's 6'5" and weighs about 225 pounds. And Mike, the best thing he does is throw the deep pass. I mean, this is a hard pass to throw, but he puts a touch on the ball. I talked this week to Scott Leffler, the quarterback coach, and to Lloyd Carr, the head coach. They like the way he throws the ball down the field. They like how tough he is. Lloyd Carr said he's one of the toughest and maybe one of the most intelligent football players that's ever played in Michigan.
And he seems like he's strongest going down over the middle, even with the deep pattern. He runs into more problems towards the sidelines.
He has a little bit of trouble throwing the ball, the short pass. It look like the easy pass is hard for him to complete, but he does a great job throwing the ball down the field.
Well, Navarre, 13 touchdowns, 7 picks this year, and it's homecoming for the Maize and Blue. Homecoming, not a festive day a year ago against Iowa. Michigan would love to enjoy the weekend with a victory this afternoon. Welcome back to ESPN Plus College Game Day, presented by Phillips 66. John Butcher will sit this one out, so Ron Turner will give the nod to Chris Pazin to quarterback the Illini today. Dustin Ward waiting in the wings if need be. First action of the day comes from the Metrodome, and it's Michigan State scoring first. Jaron Hayes breaking through the right side, 11 yards. His fourth scoring rushing touchdown. It's Michigan State. They're 6-1 on top, 7-0. And Coach, guess how they scored?
Got the turnover. Now they're plus 13 in the turnover margin.
Okay, let's get back to our game now. Pazin, quarterbacking for Illinois. Redshirt freshman, you're the head coach. He's Michigan's #2 against the pass. Of course, there's 100,000 plus in the stadium. What are you telling this young man?
Well, it's a tough place to break in. I tell him to settle down early. They're probably going to try to run the football. I don't think they're going to have any success running the football, but they'll try to run the ball early. Eventually, you got to let him run the offense.
All right, that's going to do it for us in the studio. It's time to get back to the Big House, where I once watched Randy Wright play against Michigan. I just thought I'd throw that in. Here's Wayne, Randy, and Beth. We'll see you back here at halftime. Enjoy the first half.
Thank you very much, Mike Gleason. Let's take a look right away as we get a gaze on this crowd of better than 110,000. The Fighting Illini of Illinois, the Michigan Wolverines, and our weather report is brought to you by Prestone. When you want protection inside and out, you want the Prestone family. Well, we expected a little sunnier condition here today. It's mostly cloudy. Sun has been trying to break through. Cool, crisp, and kind of fall day you might expect in Big Ten country in the middle of October. Getting set to boot it away for the Fighting Illini. Steve Weatherford out of Terre Haute, Indiana. And dropping back deep for the Michigan Wolverines. Steve Breston is the guy you've got to watch, but Jeremy LeSueur and Carl Tabb return kicks. We'll see a lot of Steve Breston returning punts here today. You're Rembert back deep for Michigan also as they continue to switch up on their kick return game here, trying to find the same kind of impact that Bruston makes on punt returns. Weatherford, good strong leg, appears to have the wind to his back, although it's swirling down to the floor of the stadium. And great to have you with us. We are underway at Michigan. Big run back right here by Tim Brackens. Backup running back. Brad Hayward made the stop on the play. John Navarre, breakthrough moment last week at Minnesota, led the Wolverines to a school record 31-point fourth quarter as Michigan erased a 28-7 deficit. Navarre stepped up to the next level with that performance a week ago. That's what people were looking for. Can he bring a team from behind on the road against quality competition? He indeed did. Perry, first carry of the game. Nice run across the 35 to the 36-yard line on a gain of about 7 yards on the play. The Michigan backs and receivers, the aforementioned Chris Perry, one of college football's most complete backs, runner, receiver, blocker, leads the Big Ten in rushing. It is 6th nationally.
Left tackle Adam Stenovich protects John Navarre's backside. His coach says he never notices him. That's how well he's been playing.
Second down and short for Michigan. To Perry again. A first down out near the 40-yard line. The Illinois defensive front will have its hands full here today. Jeff Ruffin will play at both tackle and end, and they need dominance from Derek Strong on every play. In the linebacking corps, Winston Taylor, the senior transfer from Eastern Illinois, has played very well. They like him on the blitz.
Cornerback Sharif Abdullah, only 5'8", will have his hands full today trying to cover these bigger, taller Michigan receivers.
1st and 10 Wolverines at the 40-yard line of their own territory. Just underway here at the Big House, Michigan Stadium. Navarre, quick toss to the sidelines. And he's got his man out of bounds, Kevin Dudley, the junior from Brookville, Indiana. John Navarre. And take a look at these numbers, Randy. Outstanding season thus far, but boy, that fourth quarter at Minnesota, 15 of 20, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Well, and as you said earlier, against some really good competition on the road. That is something that John Navarre needed to do. People think he may have got that monkey off of his back with that performance last week.
Jason Avant is at the top of your screen. They get motion. And here comes Perry again. Chris Perry into Illinois territory, down to the 48-yard line. Winston Taylor and Travis Williams on the stop, gain of 6 to another Michigan first down. Ron Turner is in his 7th season as head coach. His club has struggled since the Big Ten championship of 2 years ago. 6 wins in the last 20 games.
His teams, Wayne, especially offensively, it takes a while to get the players to gel in that offense because it's such a pro style of offense. Everybody has to be on the same page.
Defensively, they need a big game from Derek Strong. Oh, and they mishandled the reverse. This is Steve Bruston. And the officials, a penalty marker is down. Let's take a look at that play again. If that was a forward handoff, it would go as an incomplete pass.
Well, I think what they're saying is Preston went down on the knee, or the back that handed the ball off to Preston was down before he made the handoff.
Personal foul indication against Illinois.
This flag was thrown very late. This could have been something after the whistle.
Prior to the handoff, the runner is ruled down. Following that, dead ball, personal foul, defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So that goes against Illinois, and Michigan's got a first down inside the 40. There is Lloyd Carr, 9th season as a Michigan head coach. A couple of seasons ago led, or I should say a number of years ago, not 5 years ago, led this Michigan program to the national title. 1st and 10. Nice run there off the right side of the line. Antonio Mason made the stop. Tim Bracken figuring big here in the early going. This is a bit of a surprise for Michigan.
I think both teams, Wayne, want to come out and run the ball. Michigan, though, they want to be balanced. They want to be able to set the stage on the ground, but be balanced through the air. Illinois, I don't know if they're going to be able to get it through the air. Early going, though, both teams will run.
2nd down. Navarre to the air and a quick toss to the sidelines. Got the fullback Brian Thompson out of bounds. Near the 25-yard line, there's a flag down to the far side. Penalty marker down. Derek Strong chased him out. Michigan mixing up some personnel here in the early going of this game, not just on kick returns, as we saw a couple of surprise kick returners back there, but also on the backfield.
For the first down, we have a sideline warning. Charge to the Illinois bench. Sideline warning.
Well, they've had a personal foul, and they've had a sideline warning.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he didn't get that wrong. That may have been against Michigan. The play was over here. The officials were over here. I think he may have meant to say the warning was against the Wolverines.
And I think that's what Ron Turner's talking to him about right now. So here we go, first down for Michigan now at the 25-yard line of Illinois. Perry again tries to cut it back, and he's got some running room. Perry to the 5, to the end zone, touchdown! 25 yards, Chris Perry puts Michigan on the board.
Boy, what a great job of seeing things develop by Chris Perry. Tries to run to the right. Illinois does a nice job with pursuit, cutting that off. Runs with his eyes, sees the hole open up to the backside, cuts through it. A great job by Braylon Edwards downfield, not throwing the block, which would have been a clip.
And the extra point is good by Garrett Rivas. 8 plays, 71 yards, capped by the Heisman candidate Chris Perry. A 25-yard cutback touchdown run. Michigan into the lead. Back at Michigan, the Wolverines score on their first drive, and they reestablish their ground game, something they fully intended to do. Coming in here today, there's the scoring drive, and now the kickoff to Illinois. E.B. Halsey gets it out across the 20-yard line, and you take a look at what Michigan was trying to do, and they established their running game. Now you've got Illinois, Randy Wright, coming out here tonight, and they've got a freshman quarterback. What do you expect?
Well, they've got to be able to run the ball, and a freshman quarterback, you come out not only your first start, but you're playing here at Michigan, and you're already taking the field behind 7-0.
There's a look at Chris Hazen, redshirt freshman from Chicago. Strong arm, quick release, but this is his first collegiate start, and he hands it off straight up the middle. Not a whole lot there for E.B. Halsey. The backs and receivers, like his Michigan counterpart, Chris Perry, E.B. Halsey is a complete back, and he has 3 more years of eligibility. He's just a freshman.
Left guard Dave Hildebrand moves over from his backup center spot to start today at guard for the injured Brian Koch.
Second down off a gain of a couple of yards. Kelvin Hayden, the man in motion. Halsey to the outside, didn't get much of a seal, but stiff-armed his way past Reed, the middle linebacker, to pick up a couple of extra yards. The Michigan defensive front, Grant Bowman leads the unit, a 5th-year senior and team captain of a Michigan defense that gave up 424 rushing yards last Friday night to Minnesota. The linebackers have struggled, but Pierre Woods is a very good athlete coming off the edge, leads the team in sacks.
Safety Marlon Jackson was banged up late in the Minnesota game last week, will not start today. Willis Behringer steps up, gets the nod instead.
Third down for Illinois. Payson in a passing situation. A short drop and a quick throw, and I think the receiver ran the wrong route. Kelvin Hayden went straight down the sidelines. Payson threw to the far sidelines behind him, and quarterback and receiver were not on the same page there.
Well, I think what you see is Michigan, before the ball was snapped, jumping people around, moving, changing the defensive front, giving Payson a different look. Then they jump up with their cornerbacks. The receiver read press coverage. That means the route changes to a fade. The quarterback not looking, didn't see that, thought the wide receiver was going to do a stop route.
Steve Weatherford, Matt Minnis punting. Weatherford was to be the punter coming into this game, but they've been experimenting there as well. This one fielded by Breston, and he cuts it back. And Breston giving up yardage, brought down by Derek Strong back near the 39-yard line. 37-yard punt, 4-yard return. So Michigan will start its second offensive possession of the day. 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. Good start for Michigan defense as they huddle on the sidelines. Illinois 1, 2, 3 and out. 1st and 10 now for the Wolverine offense at the 39 in Michigan territory. Chris Perry running hard up the middle, brought down by Winston Taylor. The Napa keys to the game.
Wayne, I think if you're Illinois, you need to run the ball at least for 250 yards. They're not going to be able to throw the ball. They don't match up well with their wide receivers. They've got a freshman quarterback. They need to have the kind of success that Michigan gave up last week. For Michigan, pretty simple. They've got to play Illinois. Don't play against yourself and Illinois. No turnovers, no big special teams plays. Don't help Illinois out.
2nd and 7, 4 receivers set. Slot at the bottom and top of your screen, and they're running out of it. Chris Perry. Winston Taylor again makes the tackle just short of the 1st down on a gain of about 5 more yards across the 45-yard line of Michigan.
This Illinois defense is giving up an average of 169 yards a game on the ground. Michigan, though, is coming out here with an attitude. They are not happy with the way they've been running the ball. Not because of lack of talent. They've got all 5 linemen have started all 8 games this year. They're just not blowing people off the ball. Today, that's what they want to do.
2 tight ends, 1 wide receiver, and a fullback. Yes, they want to blow people off the ball right here, but unable to get a seal. Perry brought down close to the 1st down. That wasn't easy. He got 2 yards to the 49-yard line. Gilstrap and Moss out in front of that play. Derek Strong, I think, really had an impact on that play because he got wider than wide and helped to force it back inside. Just enough for the 1st down gain of 2.
You're right, though. Derek Strong, that's what they tell you. Get wider than wide. Get wider than the back and force him to go back into the middle. That's where your pursuit's coming from. That's where your linebackers are coming from. Those guys make the tackle. You turn the back in that direction.
You pointed out that Michigan is unhappy. We heard this as we came in here yesterday. You mentioned the running game. They're also unhappy with the play of their defense, specifically defensive personnel up the middle of that defense. 1st down to the midfield marker for Navarre. Maybe changing the play here. 3 receivers set. Edwards brought down just short of the 1st down to the 42-yard line of Illinois. To Mike Gleason for our first update.
Well, Wayne, Wisconsin coming off the big win against Ohio State. Now the Badgers down 2 touchdowns to Purdue. Shotgun formation. Kyle Orton. Taylor Stubblefield, touchdown Purdue. It's now 14-0. And in the Metrodome, Michigan State has scored twice. They have a 14-0 lead over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Wayne?
Thought it was all about defense with the Purdue Boilermakers. Their offense has them off to a quick start today.
With Joe Tillers there, they can tell you it's all about defense. It's all about offense.
2nd down. Edwards, 2nd catch. Now what they try to do is get Braylon Edwards involved early in the ball game, get him into a rhythm, and he actually fumbled that ball out of bounds. Take a look at the Big Ten standings really quick here. A lot of important games coming up, including the Wisconsin-Purdue game. And, of course, Michigan State playing Minnesota today. And then you see Michigan and Ohio State looming close behind the leaders.
Boy, when you look at Michigan, Ohio State, they're down at the bottom of that right there. Purdue's up 14-0. Michigan State's already ahead 14-0. Big games.
Indeed. 1st and 10. Massaquoi in motion. Perry again. Boy, great quickness, and does he run to daylight? Still running inside the 15-yard line. Jackson and Robinson finally get him down 25 yards downfield. 1st down for Michigan.
Boy, nice job of blocking by this offensive line and the fullback, Kevin Dudley. Right guard, Matt Lentz, pulls out, opens up some holes, and when you give Chris Perry that kind of room and some vision that he can use to see where that hole is, he's got great acceleration. Boy, it's hard to bring him down.
Matt Sinclair had a shot at him very early in that play. Busting up the middle, picking up strong yards on the straight ahead move, Tim Bracken. Red Roof Inn red zone proficiency, 98% of Red Roof Inn guests plan to come back, so see you soon. Michigan in the red zone, Randy.
That's outstanding. Not only the 30 chances they've had, 22 of them have been touchdowns. That's outstanding. But they came out here, Wayne, wanting to set the tone with their running game. I think they're accomplishing that so far.
Tim Bracken again. Down near the 5-yard line, maybe just short of the first down. He had fallen off the depth chart behind David Underwood and Pierre Rembert, Jerome Jackson, but Bracken today getting a workout in the early going of this one.
Well, coaches send signals to their team in many different ways, and you know Lloyd Carr has not been happy with the running game. Terry Malone had talked about the fact they're just not coming out. You look at that, 110 yards total offense. They got to be happy with the production here halfway through the first quarter. One of the ways you shake up your team is you bring some new blood in. You bring a different back in, and Tim Bracken seems to be the guy that's benefited from that. Looks pretty good here early.
He's a senior out of White Castle, Louisiana. Quarterback sneak, and why not? When your quarterback is 6'6" and about 230, that's a good way to go on 3rd and short. And it's 1st and goal for the Michigan Wolverines. The question on John Navarre, as we get a look at him, is, Randy, did he really step up to the next level with that performance last week at Minnesota in your eyes?
Well, absolutely. He had been 0-6 on the road against top 25 teams. Not only do they win that game, the first one for him on the road against the top 25, but the way they did it, 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, outstanding.
1st and goal. Perry spinning for the end zone. They're going to mark him down near the 2-yard line. So a gain of about a yard or 2. Derek Strong, Mark Jackson made the hits for Illinois. 11th play of this drive coming up. A first quarter dominated by Michigan ball control.
Chris Perry was mentioned in the Heisman talk earlier in the year. Not so much lately. Running like he wants to get back into that mix here today.
And it looks like they're going to give him an opportunity. Perry again leaps to the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan.
Boy, an attitude drive that time by the Wolverines, keeping it on the ground. Their offensive line has come out on fire and opening up the holes. Take a look at Kevin Dudley leading the way there from the fullback spot. When you can give a back like Perry the line of scrimmage before any white jerseys get in his way, you can jump and take off and clear that without a problem.
18-year-old Garrett Rivas adds the extra point. And Chris Perry has reached the end zone twice. This time he vaults 2 yards for the score. John Navarre has orchestrated a couple of ball control drives for Michigan. 8 plays, 71 yards, 11 plays, 61 yards. And Chris Perry has capped them both. Perry just moved ahead of Tom Harmon to 5th place in the all-time rushing list here at Michigan with that 25-yard touchdown run to end the first drive. 19 plays so far for the Michigan offense to just 3 for Illinois. Twin safeties back to E.B. Halsey, the principal deep back on the near side. And the kickoff carries deep into the end zone. And it'll be Illinois football, 1st and 10 at the 20. Today's Big Ten football game is brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade. Allstate, you're in good hands with Allstate. By Volvo, Volvo for life. And by Prestone, when you want protection inside and out, you want the Prestone family. Beautiful campus here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Gorgeous day here yesterday. 1st and 10 for Illinois. Payson completes his first pass of the day. A short gain to the far side, and it's E.B. Halsey on the, or make that to Kerry Davis on the reception to the sidelines, and we welcome in Beth Mowens.
Well, this week, Chris Payson put in a phone call to former Illinois quarterback Kurt Kittner for some advice prior to his first start. It was a young Kurt Kittner who quarterbacked Illinois in their last win here at the Big House back in 1999 and ultimately led them to the Big Ten title 2 years later. He told Chris Payson to be confident coming in here, that he was qualified and that he could do the job. We will find out today. Wayne?
Thank you, Beth. We were here for that game a couple years ago. Nice little throw over the middle there. And they get the tight end, Melvin Bryant, whom the coaches are very high on, involved. Lamar Woodley was there on the stop.
When you go back to Beth's comment, and Kurt Kittner may be able to use some of that advice himself. He's making his first start for the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow in his NFL debut.
The Falcons have fallen on hard times. They have really struggled without Michael Vick, but I can tell you they've got more problems than just quarterback. You don't fall off the face of the earth like that and have only one problem. Third down and about 2. And fighting for it is the freshman E.B. Halsey, and he's short of the first down. Boy, the Wolverines really flow to the football with authority there. Ernest Shazor from the defensive secondary, the principal defender.
Well, one of the things that you can do if you're Michigan, you feel good about your matchups with the wide receivers, your cornerbacks matching up well. That allows you to bring the safeties up and play almost a linebacker position. Ernest Shazor done a nice job all season coming up and forcing the run. He's going to be very active around the line of scrimmage today.
Matt Minnis, his first punt went just 36 yards. He'll try to do a little better with the second one. Kicking to Steve Breston. Good leverage into this kick. Much better kick. Breston chasing it back, and he muffs it. It's up for grabs now, recovered by the Wolverines, and coming back the other way, and down he goes at the 10-yard line. Jeremy Lesueur, Johnny on the spot to make that recovery of the muff. Today's Big Ten football game is brought to you by Pontiac. Test drive the 2004 Grand Prix at your local Pontiac dealer. Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA. Red Roof Inns. Save a bunch on your next stay at Red Roof Inns with Red's hot deals at redroof.com. The J-Team, only at Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And by the United States Army, an army of one. First down for Michigan. Perry is the tail of the tandem. Perry just looking right, then left, and gets what he can out near the 15-yard line. Out a gain of 4. Sinclair made the stop.
When we commented earlier, Michigan can't do anything to help Illinois. They don't need to. This is a pretty good punt. McGoey is coming right down there in excellent coverage. Preston just gets turned around right at the end, and a big break there for the Wolverines to fall on that ball. Pick it up, Jeremy Lesueur, right, as you said, right on the spot.
Second down and about 7 now for Michigan as Lloyd Carr looks on anxiously. Happy with the win last week, not happy with some aspects of the Wolverine performance in that ball game last week at Minnesota. Navarre waited as long as he could. Nice throw and catch for a first down at the 25-yard line. And they go to the tight end Tim Massaquoi. They've been trying to get their tight ends involved a little bit more in the passing game. A little disappointed with their production.
They have, as you said, tried to get him involved, but they've been disappointed in their job as a receiver. They like their blocking in the run game, but they haven't been able to get the ball to him. Only 7 catches, big average at 16 yards, but they feel the tight end needs to be able to catch 3, 4, 5 balls a game. Not getting that so far.
11 yards on that reception. Braylon Edwards in motion. Here comes Chris Perry. And he's tripped up nicely. Beautiful play made by Ty Myers, a backup linebacker who knifed in and was able to get Perry to the ground. Loss of maybe a half yard in that play. Negligible, if any.
When a Michigan offense has been driving the way the Wolverines have in this first quarter, defensively, you need to make some changes. Mike Cassidy, their defensive coordinator, can't just sit there. I got to start bringing people. Bring fire blitzes, your linebackers, your defensive backs. Change things up.
We'll get into fire blitzes and see if they violate any codes as well. Second down and 10. Navarre under some pressure, drops the football, and then they cover it up back near the 12-yard line. A little bit of a comedy of errors there. Scott Moss with the pressure initially, and that kind of blew up the play, and then Navarre bumped into his offensive lineman and dropped the football.
One of the best plays Michigan runs is their screen. Navarre's trying to throw the screen over there to the left, can't get rid of the ball. It was well covered by Illinois. Wisely chooses not to throw it, but with Scott Moss in his face, drops the ball. And the second time in the last couple minutes, Michigan fortunate to fall on one of their fumbles.
Illinois third in the Big Ten in quarterback sacks. They do a lot of blitzing, and they have to generate pass rush pressure. 4-man down line, third and long, loss of 13 on that play. And running hard, trying to get most of it back is Chris Perry, and he's out across the 20-yard line to the 23. Ty Myers again makes the stop, and Michigan is stopped for the first time offensively today, despite that 10-yard gain by Perry.
And those two fumbles, the first by Breast and the second by Navarre, it didn't hurt Michigan in terms of losing control of the ball, but it did amount to a lot of negative yardage. Now with this punt, Illinois looks to have very good field position. For the first time with Chris Payson, that's a huge thing, a huge advantage for the Illini.
Adam Finley in punt formation. Opponents are averaging 17.6 yards per punt return. Finley gets good leverage into this one, and it is caught and dropped immediately. Is E.B. Halsey. My goodness, Shazor and Tab met him at the catch. Let's go back to Mike Gleason to the Big Ten studio.
Well, Wayne, Purdue had a 14-0 lead, but Wisconsin's on the board, Coach.
That's why you play Anthony Davis. He's your best running back. You need him in a tough ball game like this.
Well,
Nice run on AD's part.
Looks like Napoleon Kaufman there, 14-7, and now Michigan State up in the Metrodome. They've taken a 17-0 lead over the Golden Gophers. Wayne?
Mike, I got to tell you, and Randy, I'll ask you, it's tough to come back from a loss like Minnesota had last week to Michigan. They reverse it. Here comes Kelvin Hayden. Good speed, follows his blocking well, and he's got a first down for Illinois. Larry Stevens made the stop. How tough, Randy, is it for a football team like Minnesota? First loss of the season, the way they lost to Michigan, does that linger for weeks?
Well, it absolutely does, especially the way they lost it. I think Minnesota put everything into that game. They felt they had a great chance to win. They felt in the third quarter they were going to win. To lose it the way they did. But you see, Wisconsin, too, it's hard for them to come back from that emotional game against Ohio State. They won that game. It's just hard to stay at that high for that long.
Well, the first quarter comes to a close. It was all Chris Perry and Michigan dominating on offense. Perry capped 2 touchdown drives with scores to put the Wolverines on top. Well, some of the faithful from Champaign made the trip, and there's the guy in a Michigan State hat. Do you think he's listening to this game, or is he listening to the Spartans? Action right now. Pontiac first quarter stats. The only thing you really need to know here, Illinois had 1 first down. Michigan went on drives of 8 plays and 11 plays, and that's how it all stacks up.
And their first down came on the reverse, the last play there that first quarter.
First down for Illinois in Michigan territory offensively for the first time this afternoon. Payson may be checking off of the line, changing the play. Adiyamo at the bottom of your screen, Hayden at the top. He's looking to Hayden. And latching on nicely to make that tackle is Marcus Curry to the sidelines and Beth Mowens. Beth?
Well, job number 1 for Ron Turner and his staff this week was to help rebuild the confidence of this team. As you can see, in their first 3 losses, the games were close, but since then, they have been run off the field. So Ron and his staff talked a lot about doing what we can do well, being conservative, keeping things simple. He reminded his team guys, hey, we can get our confidence back as quickly as it slipped away in that Wisconsin loss. Wayne?
And Beth, there was a very poignant moment in that Wisconsin loss. We'll talk about it in a moment. Nice play fake. Payson going over the top. Nearly intercepted and a penalty marker down. Adiyamo, I believe, might have been the intended receiver. There's a flag down. That ball was almost picked away. Marcus Curry had a shot at it.
Ball just sailed on Chris Payson. He had 2 receivers over there, threw the ball almost in between them, and Marcus Curry did a nice job keeping his eyes on the ball. Coming up, almost came up with the interception.
Pass interference to call, the preliminary indication against Michigan. Bill DeMonier is the official. There's a look at it.
There's the push in the back right there by Behringer, the strong safety that came over to help out, and really kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Curry was in great position to possibly intercept, but at least knock that ball down.
Exactly. So it's first down for Illinois. Football at the 28-yard line of Michigan territory.
Wayne, 2 kinds of passes Payson's been throwing. The deep ball and the short 5-yard hitch.
E.B. Halsey, not much there. Lawrence Reed came up from the linebacking corps. The Illinois season, and we talked to Ron Turner about this, as Beth mentioned a moment ago, kind of turned around in that Wisconsin game. Third quarter, Antonio Mason intercepts a Wisconsin pass, takes it to the house for a touchdown. Penalty marker flies, and it is roughing the quarterback on Charles Gilstrap. And that made that ball game. That took Illinois had a chance with the extra point on that touchdown to be to within 1 of Wisconsin, which had dominated the game to that point. And at that point, it appeared Illinois lost its spirit, and in fact, may have lost its season.
It hasn't got that spirit back yet.
2nd down and 10. Payson, little pump fake. Now the go route. DeHayden in the end zone, well covered. Jeremy Lesueur on the coverage for Michigan with help from Shazor from a deep secondary.
Boy, I like what Ron Turner is doing, though. He's giving his quarterbacks the easiest throws, the short hitch or the deep ball to the sideline. Payson gives a little shoulder fake right there, has his man open, but then gives him the target to throw to. And Payson originally had pretty good time to throw that ball. That play takes a long time to develop. He took the hit afterwards, which I think Michigan will continue to do. Rough him up, let him know he's playing in the Big Ten now. Hopefully that'll wear on him later in the game.
Grant Bowman with a greeting. Payson deep drop again. Coming back for it, the pass knocked down, incomplete. Boy, Marcus Curry's been awfully good in the early going today. Denied Adi Adiyamo a 1st down reception at the 15-yard line.
Well, the one thing that you can't teach your quarterback, he's got to learn for himself, is timing. This ball's thrown a little bit late. If that ball is there a little earlier, Curry can't react and get up there. Adiyamo had good separation. The ball needs to be thrown a little earlier.
Field goal attempt of 45 yards. John Gockman will try it. J.J. Tubbs the holder. Mike Gomez the snap, and the kick on its way. And it's no good. He pulled it to the far side. So the Illini continue to struggle offensively to get something going in the big house at Michigan. Wolverines by 2 touchdowns.
ABC Sports, Saturdays, the home of college football.
Well, they're digging as deep as they can into the playbook, but with an inexperienced quarterback, there's not a lot Illinois can do.
And Ron Turner told us he's tried to simplify things as much as he can. You really can't simplify the offense any more than it is right now and have any kind of chance.
1st and 10, Michigan. Navarre 5 for 5 passing, and Chris Perry over 100 yards rushing with that carry for 11 yards to the 40-yard line. The game track.
Well, it has been all Michigan here in the early goings. Chris Perry has been on fire. The offensive line blowing holes open for him. He's done a wonderful job. And Illinois trying to respond to that kind of success on the ground. No such going. Michigan's defense has come out and played with 8 men at the line of scrimmage and shut down the Illini running game.
And the corners have been able to handle the receivers man for man.
So then you can bring your safeties up and get them involved in the run game.
3 receivers spread to the top of your screen. Edwards, Avant, and Preston. But it's Chris Perry, and this time he's nabbed in the middle of the line. Scott Moss made the stop, and we go back to the Big Ten studio and Mike Gleason.
Well, Wayne, Wisconsin, Purdue, we know it would be tight. Now check this out. Is this a fumble or INT? But regardless, another turnover, Coach.
Looked like an INT to me, but they ruled it a fumble recovery. Jeff Mack, 60 yards for a touchdown, put Wisconsin right back in the ballgame.
Hey, it looks like a bulldog, huh? But he must have some wheels. 60 yards for the score. They missed the PAT. It's 14-13, Wayne. Purdue on top by 1.
Hey, Mike, get number 46 some oxygen. He's going to need it. 2nd down. Perry bouncing to the outside. And this time he's ridden down. Derek Strong arrived, but Illinois filled the holes very well. Ty Myers was also there. Kyle Kleckner in the mix as well from the secondary.
You see Chris Perry slow to get up. Boy, did he take a heck of a hit. And when you talk about the running game, not being happy with the running game, it starts with attitude. And this is the kind of leadership you want from your seniors. The guy that's determined, take that hard hit, keep your feet moving, keeps his balance, and fights for more yards.
Looked like Matt Sinclair, the middle linebacker, got his pads on him pretty good.
Seen the last couple of drives, Illinois bringing their linebackers and their safeties to try and help stop the run.
Passing situation on 3rd down. Navarre throws a strike. Avant to the 40-yard line. Jason Avant, a sophomore out of Chicago, Illinois. Kleckner made the stop. 19-yard gain out of Carver High School. Jason Avant. And
Wayne, this is going to come back.
Down.
This is a hold against Michigan, and the left side of their line just tackled Derek Strong, the defensive end for Illinois. He looked like Derek Strong came back, looked like he had position, had the angle. I think it was Stenovich that reached out and just tackled him.
So there goes the build-up for Jason Avant.
10 yards, previous spot, repeat 3rd down.
Take a look. Right there is Strong. He's going to come around, and he's going to get tackled here before he gets to Navarre. He's got the angle. He's got him beat, and just the body slam down. Nice throw by Navarre, all for naught. And some holding penalties are excusable, some aren't. Derek Strong, I think, would have got the sack had that not taken place.
3rd down and long. Preston's at the bottom of your screen, the big play receiver, along with Edwards. Navarre looking that way to Preston. One-on-one, Mark Jackson. Nice tackle to the open field. Gain of about 4 yards. Michigan forced to punt.
Nice job by defensive coordinator Mike Cassidy. He showed blitz, gets Navarre to audible to a short pass. On 3rd and long, go ahead and let him audible to the short pass. Make sure you come up and make the tackle. Good job. Started with what Illinois showed Navarre, causing him to call the audible.
Adam Finley in punt formation. Michigan last in the Big Ten in net punting. Here comes E.B. Halsey. And they've covered pretty well here today so far. Halsey gets a short gain back. Ross Mann, the long snapper, made the stop. 43-yard punt, just a 4-yard return. So pretty good net on that one for the Michigan kicking game. Beautiful setting, Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Along with Beth Mowens on the sidelines and Randy Wright, this is Wayne Larrabee. Great to have you with us for this Big Ten game, and it's been dominated by Michigan in terms of total yardage. And score, 14-0. Illinois takes over, and they need a sustained drive here. Their defense spent a lot of time on the field in the first half. That's Kornfeld in motion, 1st down at the Illinois 31. Payson, some misdirection, nice rollout, good throw. Got the big tight end involved, Melvin Bryant, and he's got yardage out to the 50-yard line. The biggest play of the day for Illinois, 19 yards. Behringer and LeSueur collaborate on the stop.
Boy, nice throw. We have a flag down here in the backfield, and this is going to come back. But you look at the play, Payson does a nice job getting his shoulders turned square to the line of scrimmage to get rid of that ball. Unfortunately, the best play for Illinois is going to be nullified.
Yep.
Holding, offense, 10 yards, previous spot, still 1st down.
When it rains, it pours, and that's the kind of season Ron Turner's had so far this season.
Well, he knows he's limited with what he can do with Payson at quarterback just because of his inexperience. Michigan is not going to do anything to help him out. They're going to make this team go 70, 80 yards, and it's very frustrating if you're Ron Turner trying to call plays and fit it into that kind of scheme.
Chris Payson, redshirt freshman, Brother Rice High School in Chicago. This is his 3rd game, his 1st start. E.B. Halsey trying to work behind the blocking, but the Wolverines had too many men in the neighborhood. Norman Hoyer got over to make the stop, 5th-year senior. Michigan has a lot of experience in their defensive front, and they have some exciting young players as well. It's an interesting mix of 5th-year seniors on this defense, along with some very young and inexperienced freshmen, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and even sophomore personnel on this defense.
Well, Lamar Woodley is the true freshman that got his first start today at the right defensive end position, and they think he is going to be outstanding. He's pretty good right now, but they think he's just going to get better and better.
2nd down and 17. Payson throws a strike out across the 30-yard line. Hayden the reception, and the linebacker Lawrence Reed made the stop, a sophomore from Pickerington, Ohio.
Boy, nice throw that time by Payson. You can get a feel early in the game for what kind of rhythm your quarterback has, what he feels out there. Payson's done a nice job the last couple of throws, setting his feet, getting his shoulders square, having good mechanics, and that's going to lead to good throws. That time, Payson dropped back, let the play develop, stepped into that throw, and threw a nice ball.
Illinois hasn't converted yet on 3rd downs today. 3rd and 10 here. Payson pulls it down, takes it himself, gets out across the 30-yard line before the fast-closing Roy Manning comes in from his outside linebacking spot. It is 4th down for Illinois.
Boy, good job disguising the coverage. Michigan showed a 3 deep in their secondary. That gives the quarterback a read to go to the outside, but at the snap of the ball, both safeties went back to the deep halves. The corners came up. I think it confused Payson. He didn't throw the ball, forced him to run.
Matt Minnis again in punt formation. End over end kick. and hits on the sidelines, picked up by Breston right at the sideline, and Breston reverses field, makes the turn, picks up some blocking, and down the sidelines he goes, cutting it back into the clear. Steve Breston all the way. Touchdown Michigan, 74 yards, his second punt return touchdown of the season. The Big Ten leader in punt return yardage and 6th nationally. Steve Breston looking to move up on the national charts with his performance here today. Derek Strong injured on that play, trying to get over to make a tackle. And he is their big defensive end for the Illini.
Boy, the Illini looked like they had outstanding coverage, and they had Breston trapped actually by the sideline, but he gets away from the one, and then it's just some poor angles, and just look at the speed, the little move right there on Kleckner, and there you see Strong come over, and he goes down with the injury. Then you see the blocking kind of form. This was a nice job of making adjustments on the fly, not only by Breston, but by his blockers.
Tyrese Butler made a little glancing block there that got him the final opening, and then it was all Steve Breston from there. It's the longest punt return for Breston in his career, and the second touchdown this season, as I mentioned earlier.
Well, it has been an up and down year for the Michigan special teams all season long.
Indeed. I mean, at times they have been so. Lloyd Carr said it at some points. It's so bad he doesn't even want. He looks at the crowd, doesn't even want to see the play. But at other times they have been spectacular, especially Breston returning punts.
You get a guy like Steve Breston, you try in every way to get the ball in his hands as many times as you can, and he's starting to pay big dividends.
Garrett Rivas for another point after. And the kick is good. So Michigan moves on top, scoring on special teams. Lloyd Carr's Wolverines in command at 21-0. Steve Breston on a career-long 74-yard punt return touchdown to pave the way to the Michigan lead. Welcome home, Blue. Yes, it is homecoming here, and a lot of alumni in town. A great atmosphere at Michigan every week, but especially on homecoming weekend. Michigan leading at 21-0. Chris Perry, a couple of touchdown runs of 2 and 25 yards at a 74-yard punt return touchdown by Steve Breston. Troy Nienberg's kick, returnable here. Not a whole lot there as Thomas motored up the field with it. And let's go back to the Big Ten studio. Mike Leeson.
Wayne, Michigan State had a 17-0 lead up in the Metrodome, and the Gophers are coming back. Assad Abdul-Khalik, Tony Patterson, 91 yards in just 7 plays, and suddenly it's 17-10. It's down to a touchdown. Spartans still on top. Wayne?
Well, maybe they're shaking off the shock of last week's fourth quarter against Michigan.
Well, you look at that, and sometimes those teams off emotional games takes them a while to get into it. You saw Wisconsin down 14-0. They fought back into it. Minnesota now getting things going. They're back into that game.
Talking about good teams going at one another. It's not going to be an easy walk in the park. Penalty markers down. Michigan violated the neutral zone. Payton's got a free down and nearly threw an interception trying to hit the big freshman receiver Lonnie Hurst. Patrick Massey, the defensive end, appeared to jump into the neutral zone for Michigan.
You wonder if Payton knew that was going to be the call. Sometimes the quarterback sees that, sometimes you don't. What Payton needs to be very careful of now, don't try and force things to happen.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty, previous spot. Repeat first down.
You're down 21-0. Sometimes you feel, especially inexperienced players, I got to get it all back right away. You start to force things to happen. That's when it gets worse. Stay inside the system, execute the plays. Let Ron Turner worry about trying to get it back.
Of those 3 guys, who do you believe?
Well, I don't know if Payton wants to look at any of them with what's been called and with what's been working.
Got 3 guys signaling him plays, and everybody does that, and the quarterback then knows who has the right play. E.B. Halsey, not much, about a yard to the 26. But what happens here, Randy, is that you've got 3 different guys on the sidelines signaling in plays, and they have 3 different guys to disguise so that the other team, so Michigan coaches up in the press box can't pick up.
Correct. You have one player that's live, the other 2 that are dummy signals. What I like about that is it keeps your backup quarterbacks in the game. If they know what's going on, they have to signal. They stay in the game. The harder job is signaling the dummy play. I've had to do both. It's easy when you know what to signal, but when you know what not to signal, you got too many choices to make.
Second down. Blitz coming, down goes the quarterback, Lawrence Reed, make that Carl Diggs up the middle on the blitz. Loss of yardage back inside the 20-yard line, loss of about 8.
Boy, missed assignment up front by the Illini offensive line. Carl Diggs just comes right from his middle linebacker position, untouched. He's going to come right there. How can you not block this guy? The line's going to slide. There it goes. He just comes untouched. Pace's got no chance.
It's like the orange sea opening for Moses. Is that a red sea?
Your guards have to make a call, and they have to pick up the most dangerous threat. The outside guy should have been the one coming free.
3rd and long again. Kerry Davis gets the call as they try to pop one against the Michigan defense, and the Wolverines have none of it. Nice gain of about 8 yards, but that's all she wrote. Lawrence Reed closed the gap along with Scott McClintock. It's 4th down for Illinois once again. The Fighting Illini unable to sustain any kind of an offensive surge against this Michigan defense today.
Well, Jim Herman, the Wolverines defensive coordinator, doing a nice job of bringing different packages. The blitz package, the 3 deep package, the 2 deep, really mixing things up well.
Preston back deep to receive the punt from Matt Minnis. Minnis kicking toward the sidelines again. Gets a tail dragger. It hit on the near side hash mark. Preston let this one go. He picked up the one on the sidelines earlier, and it is going to be down by the Illini near the 16-yard line. 57-yard punt, no return, but the Illini are in a hole at Michigan. Those are alumni cheerleaders. They're still pretty good, Randy.
They're in pretty doggone good shape. I'm not sure which job there is harder. The guy that's up in the air or the one holding him up.
Michigan takes over, leading 21-0 on homecoming weekend. 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line. In Wolverine territory. Braylon Edwards in motion. Navarre screens it out. They literally screened the Gophers to death in the 4th quarter Friday night, a week ago Friday night in Minneapolis, and Chris Perry was on the receiving end of most of those throws last week, as he is on this one here out to the 21-yard line. Charles Gilstrap makes the stop, gain of about 6 yards.
Well, Chris Perry is so good out of the backfield. You need to get him involved in the passing game. He's 3rd on this team in receptions with 27. He's so effective with picking up blitzes. I think he's going to be a great 3rd down back in the NFL.
No question. 2nd down. Perry following his block. Nice little cutback, gets across the 30-yard line. Back to Mike Gleason in the Big Ten studio.
Wayne, coming up at halftime, we'll head straight to Camp Randall and Madison to check on Wisconsin-Purdue, then over to the Twin Cities to see if the Gophers can handle the new-look Spartans. We'll talk some SEC football, plus get John Cooper's thoughts on Larry Coker. After all, he did hire him twice, and Coop gives us his top 5 senior quarterback. It's all coming up at halftime. Wayne?
Hired him twice. My goodness. What ended the first arrangement? That's a question for halftime for John Cooper. But hired him twice, that speaks highly. Injured player for Michigan kind of being helped off. That's Chris Perry. He was shaken up earlier in this first half.
Boy, he's been running hard, too. And if there's ever a lead by example, Chris Perry has been one that's doing that today.
Well over 100 yards already in the ball game. Replaced by the senior, Tim Bracken. Navarre. Lots of time. Avant. First down at the Illinois 45-yard line. Pretty play. Sharif Abdullah made the stop. Time now for Heisman history, brought to you by the award-winning lineup of Suzuki products, all proud presenting sponsors of the Heisman Trophy. And the hopefuls right now.
Boy, certainly the leaders. Jason White has quietly emerged as probably the guy that's the front runner right now. You take a look at some of the other ones. B.J. Simons, Texas Tech. A lot of people think that run and shoot offense, you're going to get a lot of touchdowns. It's hard to do that down by the goal line. He's been able to overcome that, though.
Michigan in Illinois territory off a 21-yard gain on the previous play. Blitz was coming. Nice throw. Braylon Edwards, big catch at the 31-yard line, got a first down. Gain of 14 yards. Kleckner and Sinclair on the scene, and we are seeing a Braylon Edwards catching the football with a lot more confidence than we saw earlier this season.
Well, competition will do that. Steve Breaston has stepped up. Take a look at the blocks, though, here by the backs. They're both going to come over to the left. That's where the blitz is coming from. And took both of them. Woodley right there. Take Brackens right there. Great job giving John Navarre the passing lane.
So it's first down to the 31-yard line of Illinois. Tim Bracken inside the 30, covered up near the 28-yard line. Travis Williams and Kyle Kleckner made the stop. Williams starting at the cornerback spot, as Randy mentioned earlier today, for Christian Morton.
Wayne, I want to go back to that last play in the blocks by the backs. I think Michigan does a better job than any team I've seen of teaching their entire team to block. You ask the wide receivers, they tell you, you got to block before you catch the ball. That's something that they mandate. The backs, you got to learn how to block before they let you carry it. It's taught from top to bottom, and it's done in a very good job, very good way.
You don't get big running plays without wide receivers being able to block somebody. Navarre on 2nd and 7. Almost intercepted by Matt Sinclair. Pass intended for Jason Avant.
Lloyd Carr told us he thought what his team needed to do today, great defense, execute the kicking game, and be balanced on offense. They started this game running the ball. A lot of success on the ground, but he wants to stay balanced on offense. I think that's why you're seeing a little more through the air right here.
First incompletion for Navarre. Boy, he comes out hot today. 9 of 10. You mentioned most of it of the short variety.
Let you know when you have a good running game working for you, it opens up and makes the passing a little easier.
Bell is in the slot, the top of your screen, and here's Navarre. Avant opens again inside the 10. It's 1st and goal, Michigan. Mark Jackson makes the stop, and boy, does Jason Avant get separation on these plays over the middle. Right there, 19-yard gain.
Zone coverage, but a little too much room. Avant does a nice job getting depth on his pattern as the underneath linebacker Winston Taylor goes with the underneath receiver. It opens up the deeper in route.
Chris Perry back into the lineup. He's the tailback. Thompson, the fullback, in motion on 1st and goal. Navarre threads it over the middle. Minery makes the catch, and the former quarterback reaches into the end zone for the touchdown. Andy Minery beat the tackle attempt of Matt Sinclair. 9-yard touchdown, and Michigan leads 27-0.
A little bit of a statement drive that time. We got to get back to throwing the ball. Let's continue to move the ball through the air as we have all season. We worked on the running game the first quarter and a half. Let's get back to the pass game, and Navarre executed it perfectly.
First career touchdown reception for Andy Minery. Garrett Rivas and the point after. It is good. And so the Michigan Wolverines have put 4 first-half touchdowns on the board.
First touchdown reception by a tight end for the Wolverines, and this is where the Michigan tight end has traditionally been very effective. Down by the goal line, the crossing routes into the flat. Navarre looking to the outside, it's not there. Comes off of him, finds Minery in the right spot, knowing that's where your quarterback will go. Then does a nice job fighting, getting into the end zone.
Michigan has had in recent years a pretty good tradition of receiving tight ends. The latest being Benny Japru, who graduated to the NFL last year.
And I think, as they mentioned to us, that's what they have really lacked. I think that's one reason why you see Chris Perry with 27 receptions coming into this game. The short passing game, which has traditionally been handled by the tight ends, has not been there this year. We got to get the backs more involved.
Time now for a Jiffy Lube, well-oiled machine, and boy, the Wolverines are well-oiled on that drive right there. 84 yards, 8 plays in the passing game. Again, seem to be working on the short passing game with John Navarre, who is a skilled deep passer. Toward the far side, making the play on it, Pierre Thomas, the freshman. Nice run out across the 20 as a penalty marker flies.
You get the feeling that Michigan knows they got away with one last week against Minnesota. They were lucky and fortunate to come out with that win. Now that they didn't play very well. They maybe got their freebie. Now they need to earn them.
Block in the back against Illinois.
On the return, illegal block on the back. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
You know, Randy, when we came in here yesterday and visited with the Michigan people, you got the feeling that, I thought I'd see more joy after an incredible come-from-behind win at Minnesota. But what I saw was, from Jim Herman, the defense coordinator, he talked to us as if he was coming off a loss. Even Lloyd Carr was not giddy with the comeback. He said, we've got some things we've got to work on. We've got to get ourselves together for the stretch drive. And that's what they're doing here today. That pass juggled and dropped, incomplete. Lonnie Hurst, the true freshman out of Detroit, Michigan, playing his first game here at Michigan Stadium, could not hang on.
Well, I agree with you, Wayne. I think this entire Michigan staff has not felt their team has played a complete game since the Notre Dame game.
Right.
Way back early in the season. And they've been winning for the most part, except for the Iowa game, but they are not happy with the execution of their players and what they've been trying to do.
2nd and 10. The give, Halsey gets around the corner, but not around the outside of the formation as he's brought down after a short gain to the sidelines. And Beth.
Well, when we talked yesterday to Terry Malone about John Navarre, he had a good story from that Minnesota game last week. Actually having the day off on Saturday due to the Friday night game, he was out playing football with his son Patrick, and Patrick wanted to play like John Navarre, and in particular, the touchdown pass, not that he threw, but that he caught from Steve Breston, and he was actually running in slow motion to imitate Navarre. But in all seriousness, Lloyd Carr did mention that they were much more impressed with the footwork of Navarre and how much he has improved in his scrambling ability in that fourth quarter when he had to come up with some big plays against Minnesota, guys.
I tell you what, Beth, that's a great point, because in that fourth quarter, Navarre kept a lot of plays alive with his feet. But watch this right here. This is well done.
Well, you see the throwback coming to Navarre, but look at all the white jerseys in front. You've got 5 linemen in front of him. Now, Navarre is pretty big. We joked about it, too. If Navarre didn't have the ball, you wouldn't know which one was the lineman and which one was Navarre. But when you can run a trick play like that, all 5 of your linemen out in front of you, obviously that's well executed. Beth, a little follow-up to your point. You look at your great quarterbacks today, not your good ones, your great ones. They're great because of their feet. All of them are going to have good arms. They're great because of their feet. They can buy time, scramble around in the pocket.
And John Navarre is starting to show that.
Reminds me of a certain quarterback that used to play at Wisconsin and then on with the Green Bay Packers, right, Wayne?
He had decent feet.
No, I think Favre went to Southern Mississippi.
3rd down. Hayden trying to adjust to it. And the pass sails over his head, incomplete near the 20-yard line. Elaine Kashama put some pressure on the young quarterback from Illinois, Chris Payson. It may have forced a misfire there. Hayden could not catch up with him.
You could just see that the timing is not where it needs to be with Payson, inexperienced at quarterback, and these wide receivers. You got to separate, come back, count on the ball being there. Took Hayden a little too long. Payson that time could have held on to the ball a split second longer.
John Butcher out of this game with back problems. And Minnis just did give this punt away, and again Breston backs off on it, and it takes an Illinois hop inside the 40, and it'll be down inside the 35. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Michigan from there. Coming up at halftime with Mike Gleason and John Cooper in the Big Ten studio. Ranked Big Ten teams in action as 18th ranked Michigan State travels to number 19 Minnesota. Number 15 Purdue is at 12th ranked Wisconsin. We'll have top 25 highlights around the country. 2nd ranked Miami hosting the Owls from Temple. Texas A&M travels to 14th ranked Nebraska, plus first half analysis, all coming up at halftime.
Well, you take a look, number 8 and 9 play each other today. 12 and 15 are playing each other. And of course, Michigan State and Minnesota 18 and 19. So the studio talked about separation Saturday last week. Today it's in the Big Ten.
7 teams in the Big Ten ranked in the top 25. And somebody downstairs in the press room was saying they couldn't remember when the last time that was, if it ever was. Here's Chris Perry. Out across the 35 to the 38-yard line.
Unfortunately, it probably won't be after this week's game because some of those teams that lose may get knocked out.
Right ankle injury to Derek Strong as he disappears in the tunnel. Heading back to the Illinois dressing room. Navarre out of the shotgun. pass a little bit wide of the mark. Boy, he was trying to hit Breston, who was well covered on the play by Ty Myers and Travis Williams.
Travis Williams has stepped from his free safety position over to the corner position, and he has been the one constant in that Illinois secondary that has played well all year. His coach has been happy with him. They just think they need to get better coverage support there, so they moved him over and let Eric McGoey step up and start at safety instead.
Jermaine Gonzalez is flanked wide to the top of your screen. Abad is the man in the slot there. Illinois is coming on a blitz. Navarre's got plenty of time, now takes it himself. And John Navarre gets out across the 45 to the 47-yard line.
Talk about Navarre beating you with his feet as well as his arm. Only had 3 or 4 yards, gets the first down, and then wisely gets down. Now try for the bigger play.
Michigan goes without a huddle. Incomplete, intended for Gonzalez, who took a pounding from Mark Jackson in the secondary. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. You know, last week in that 4th quarter, Michigan had to run a lot of hurry-up, no-huddle offense. And, of course, the talk in town here in Ann Arbor was, well, why don't they do that all the time?
Well, most of the time, the hurry-up only works when the defense is in the hurry-up mode as well. You figure you're ahead, so you can be soft. You don't want to give up the big play, so the safeties drop back another 5 or 6 yards. The corners play a little softer. That allows the early and the up-front things to happen. Regular down and distance, you don't get that soft coverage.
2nd and 10. Blitz coming again. They set up the screen through the hands of Bracken, incomplete. And again, Illinois coming off the edge with Taman Jordan on the blitz.
Jordan did a nice job of timing his blitz, disguised it long enough to where Navarre didn't see it coming early. Then he came full speed. If there's one thing that can mess up the timing on a screen, it's unexpected pressure from the outside, and Taman Jordan did a nice job.
Illinois going with a 3-man down line. 53 seconds to go in this half. Michigan has 2 timeouts remaining. Calvin Bell off to the races. Mark Jackson saves the touchdown as a penalty marker flies, maybe for a face mask. 43 yards. The senior out of Simi Valley, California. Face mask the call against Illinois. So people like Calvin Bell, Tim Bracken here today getting some opportunities in the offense for the Wolverines.
Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Wayne, it starts with protection. Illinois is only bringing 3, and take a look at the view that Navarre has. When you only bring 3, you've got 6 guys in to protect. He's got all this time to let the play develop. And when you can allow your quarterback time to let the routes develop downfield with Navarre's accuracy, he's going to kill you.
3 receivers set on 1st and goal. Chris Perry looping inside the 5 down near the 2-yard line, gain of about 3. Taylor and Kleckner on the stop for Illinois.
Well, you can tell Lloyd Carr's attitude with this team in this first half. He calls the timeouts when he's on defense to try and get the good field position. Now he's calling the timeouts to try and get this ball into the end zone. They're ahead 28-0, but he's telling his team, trying to send his team that signal that I'm not happy with the score. I'm only going to be happy with the execution.
Chris Perry has been the standout for Michigan right from the get-go here today.
Well, you take a look, Chris Perry has done it all. He's got 2 outstanding runs, huge holes to run through, and then, of course, he's got the touchdowns. This was a great run here, fighting back. Braylon Edwards stays off the block downfield, doesn't draw the clip. And then, of course, the one right on the goal line. Look how high he gets up over the top.
I think you're right about Chris Perry, Randy. I think on the next level, he's going to be an excellent 3rd down back because, number one, if you have Chris Perry back there, you can trust that he'll be able to pass protect if you need to keep him in. If somebody's coming off the edge on the blitz, Furthermore, he's got good quick feet. On that touchdown run you just saw a moment ago, he made that with his feet. Yeah, he had the vision, but he also had the feet to get to where he needed to go as well. And of course, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats on the U of M rushing list.
You know, he's not a name that most people think of quickly when you talk about running backs at Michigan, because I think in the last 15 years, Michigan has become almost more of a passing team, but he should be one that you think of quickly.
He's also a great receiver. Slot at the bottom of your screen. Avant, the man in motion. Navarre looking that way and throws it away. Everybody pretty well covered, and it becomes a 3rd down at the 2-yard line.
Terry Malone told us yesterday the one constant he knows he can count on with John Navarre is his decision making.
Yep.
The worst thing a player can do to his coach is be inconsistent, because then the coach doesn't know what I can count on. If I know you can do something, I'll call it. If I know you can't do something, I won't call it. But don't give me this, I think you can, and then you don't do it. The one thing he knows he's going to get with Navarre, good decision making.
And he had to have great decision making in that 4th quarter at Minnesota. They were in a position, Randy, where they couldn't make a mistake offensively in the 4th quarter, and they didn't. 3rd down and 2 at the 2-yard line. Perry trying to cut it back. Turns upfield, fights for the end zone, and is just short. They're going to mark it just inside the 1-yard line. The Illini flow to the football pretty well. Winston Taylor was there. Kleckner, the safety, came in, along with Antonio Mason.
I think you'll see Michigan go for this. They've called the timeout to talk about it. Illinois doing a nice job of not bending over and making it easy for Michigan. I think if you go for it here, though, and you don't make it, you do run the chance of giving Illinois some momentum when they have had absolutely nothing to build on here in this first quarter, in this first half.
Next week, Big Ten football travels to Champaign, Illinois. The Fighting Illini play host to the 19th-ranked Golden Gophers from Minnesota. Big Ten Studio kicks things off at noon Eastern with an in-depth look at all the action of the Big Ten. Minnesota, Illinois, next Saturday, October 25th. Check your local listings for the game time in your area. And that Minnesota ball club can score some points, can't they?
Boy, and they do most of it on the ground first in those categories that you see there. And last week against this Michigan defense, 424 yards on the ground and lost the game.
Yep.
That's almost, I don't know which is more surprising.
I know. Both are surprising facts.
This Michigan offense, much more balanced. The Minnesota offense is on the ground.
With Minnesota losing today 24-10 in the first half of that ball game. But that's a long way from over. Michigan going for it, 4th down, goal to go. Just inside the 1. Massaquoi in motion. Here's Perry leaping to the end zone for another touchdown, his 3rd of the day.
Sometimes it's hard for a coach to preach attitude and run blocking and let's develop and let's send a signal and then go for a field goal there when you've got less than a yard to go. Lloyd Carr's been preaching it all week. Sometimes you got to show your team you've got confidence in them, and I think that's why he went for that on 4th down.
Garrett Rivas for another point after. And the kick is good. Michigan has given Illinois no chance to get anything going here today. It's been all Wolverines, specifically Chris Perry leading the way. 10 plays, 67 yards on the drive. Took just a minute 27, and Perry capped it on 4th down and goal to go at the 1.
Take a look there. He may not have even needed to jump. His offensive line fires off the ball. Everybody mans up. They make contact. Perry goes up and over, but maybe didn't need to on that one. Good job by that offensive line.
The numbers on the drive. 11 seconds to go in this first half. Well, if you're Ron Turner and you're Illinois, what do you have now? I mean, what are you telling your team at halftime?
What you're telling your team is, guys, forget about the score. Let's start doing some things that we feel we can do, some things that we're going to build confidence. For Ron Turner, it's about the rest of the season, maybe more so than the rest of this game.
Twin safeties back deep for Illinois. Pierre Thomas and E.B. Halsey. Fans enjoying it here on homecoming weekend. We expected a little more sun than we've gotten. An overcast and kind of chilly day.
I think it's pretty bright over on the Michigan sideline.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of sunshine over there, my friend. A lot more wind than we expected today as well. This is E.B. Halsey who gets a shot at it from the 9. And out to the 20-yard line. That's about it. 5 seconds to go in the half. Michigan came in with some objectives, and they have accomplished most of those so far. Illinois came in with a redshirt freshman quarterback, Chris Payson, who apparently is going to be their future at that position.
Well, Ron Turner really likes this kid. He's just as you said, Wayne, a redshirt freshman. He's got a very quick release, a very strong arm. Says he's a workaholic. Probably works harder than any player he's ever been around, and that includes some in the NFL.
Kerry Davis, the final carry of the first half, a gain of about 5 yards, and the first half comes to a close. The Michigan Wolverines, in impressive fashion, piled up a 35-0 lead at halftime, and we head to the studio and Mike Gleason for halftime.
All right, thanks a lot, Wayne. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Phillips 66 ESPN Plus College Game Day Studio. 35 zip. Perry's already over 100 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 shy of Marion Barber now in the Big Ten. What do you do in the second half?
Well, I get him out. I don't play John Navarre much in the second half. I play him one series. I get Chris Perry, John Navarre out of the ball game. I need them next week. If I'm coach, if I'm Lloyd Carr, Michigan needs them next week when they play Purdue.
Double-edged sword, though, right? They want to stay sharp. I mean, a couple series in the third quarter.
Mike, they're sharp. 35-0 at halftime. They're sharp right now.
All right, big weekend in the Big Ten. Here's why. 3 teams still unbeaten. 2 of the 3 playing each other today. Michigan State, kind of a surprising 17-0 start.
I think that's a shocker up in Minnesota. Michigan State having a great year. They've bought into the John L. Smith system up there. No question about it.
Well, 7 teams ranked. 3 are bowl eligible. 1 snapped Ohio State's 19-game streak last week, and they're going at it in Camp Randall today against the Boilermakers. The Badgers' first play from scrimmage. Jim Sorgi picked off by Jacques Reeves, and it sets up this. Jared Boyd, 2-yard touchdown run. Purdue up 7-0. Now, after Sorgi coughs up the football, here comes the Boilermakers again. Taylor Stubblefield, Orton, touchdown. It's 14-0. And then Wisconsin gets going.
Yes, Anthony Davis comes back right here, 28-yard touchdown run. Wisconsin had to rely on their running game, and Anthony Davis came through.
And then turnover. Jeff Mack gets into the action.
Jeff Mack here, they ruled this a fumble recovery, 46 yards and a touchdown, put Wisconsin right back in the ballgame.
Lumbers in for the score. Now, I'm with you. I think that was an INT because his arm was going forward. It is ruled a fumble. But right now it's 17-13. Now each of the last 3 in this series has been decided by exactly 1 touchdown. It went to overtime in 2000. And you look at defensively for the Boilermakers, scoring defense today, 13 points for the season, only 12. Boilermakers number 2 nationally against the run, number 1 in the Big Ten in total defense. Now, Wisconsin probably a little bit flat, coming out, of course, naturally the emotional victory over Ohio State. But they come back into it. But you said at the top of the show, probably the team with the passing edge gets this one, and Purdue has that right now.
And that's exactly right. And Jim Sorgi, is having a great first half. He's 26 out of 31.
Kyle
Kyle Orton, I'm sorry, the quarterback, having a great first half, throwing the football 26 out of 31 for over 200 yards and a touchdown.
Sorgi probably wishes he was 26 of 31 for Wisconsin anyway. Let's take a look at more action now. Michigan State going up to the Metrodome to take on Minnesota. Jaron Hayes, 11 yards. How did they score this one?
The turnover, they get the turnover on the opening kickoff the ball game. Jaron Hayes, number 31, 11 yards and a touchdown.
It was 17-0, 17-3. Assad Abdul-Khalik to Thomas Tapé. Stays in bounds there. They're in scoring range. And Tony Patterson, nice catch. It's 17-10 suddenly, but Jeff Smoker comes back. Nice catch, staying in bounds for the score. But Jeff Smoker usually getting it done through the air here. He tucks it in, little quarterback draw, pounds his way in for the score. And Michigan State, kind of a surprising lead there. Smoker in his last 3 games hit on 72%, 900 yards, 6 scores, and now it's 31-17. 31-17. Wow, Michigan State, that is surprising.
That's surprising to me. Michigan State having a great first half. Jeff Smoker's the key in the ball game.
Okay, let's take a look at Smoker's numbers right now. 66% on the year, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, now 14 of 22. And 132 yards. Now the Gophers rushed for 390 yards against Michigan State last year. 322 2 years ago, but this is a different defense for Michigan State.
Well, no question about it. John L. Smith has come in there with his defensive staff, and they're doing a great job. They're ranked like 3rd in the Big Ten in total defense right now, so the defense is a difference in the ball game.
So Michigan State cruising, trying to get to 7-1 right now. We thought Miami would break down last week against Florida State, but Coker's Hurricanes just keep on rolling. Back to check out the rest of college football. It's the Canes and the Temple Owls coming up next. At Michigan, it's 35-zip. The maize and blue all over the Fighting Illini. Welcome back to ESPN Plus College Game Day Studios, presented by Phillips 66, 35-zip. Michigan after 30 minutes of play. Now, a week ago, Miami beat Florida State to extend their regular season unbeaten streak to 38. Now, keep in mind, over the last 5 weeks, a total of 8 top 10 teams have been knocked off by an unranked opponent. Going to happen today? Well, let's check it out. Temple providing the opposition. Temple recovering this Antro Rolls fumble and flag on the play, but here comes the Owls. They're going to score. Jamil Parter 3 yards out. It's Temple 7-0 on top of the Miami Hurricanes.
And Miami's going to come right back. It's good to see Jared Payton here taking up for the injured Frank Gore. Here we see him going 34 yards for a touchdown. Comes right back again. The next time they get the football, 39-yard touchdown run. Payton is having a great first half, 9 rushes for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Payton had the lone offensive touchdown against Florida State. Here comes Porter again, though, this time right up the middle, weaves his way through traffic. He's off to the races. 69 yards for the Temple Owls. They lead the Big East in passing, getting it done on the ground here. And it's now 24-14. Miami on top. The Canes have 26 straight wins in Big East play. The record's 44 in conference play by Oklahoma back in the Big 8. Now, John, when you were a head coach, you hired Larry Coker twice. What did you see in Larry Coker that impressed you to hire him twice?
Well, first of all, I hired him out of high school. His football team at Claremore High School right outside of Tulsa won the state championship. I hired him at Tulsa. He was my coordinator, left me and went to the University of Oklahoma. When I got a chance to hire him back, he was the offensive coordinator. I hired him as a defensive secondary coach at the university, at Ohio State University. That's what I thought of Larry Coker.
You know, Coach, Coker's 31-1 as a head coach, and if not for a questionable call in that Ohio State game, he might be 32-0. Let's check out the Big 12 now. It's Nebraska and Texas A&M going at it. Nebraska 20-3. Actually, a matchup of the top 2 rushing teams in the Big 12 here. And Iowa State and Texas. What can you tell me about Texas after that Oklahoma game?
Well, Mac Brown has obviously got his football team in a good mood today. They came back after the tough loss to Oklahoma last week, leading 17-0 here midway in the second half.
And the Cyclones trying to snap a 4-game skid. Alabama, Ole Miss battling today in the SEC. And here comes Peyton Manning. Travis Johnson with the pick in Alabama territory, setting up a Peyton Manning touchdown, and then he comes back again.
Eli Manning here having a great year for the Ole Miss Rebels. 7-yard touchdown pass. Now it's up 17-0.
What did you say his name was? Eli? Did I say Peyton Manning?
Eli Manning.
All right, shame on me. I said Peyton Manning. 24-10. Ole Miss on top. A win today would give Ole Miss their first 3-0 start SEC play since 1970. Guess who was the quarterback of that Ole Miss team back in 1970?
1970. Looked like his dad, huh?
Archie on top. Okay.
Great football player.
7-9, $121. Just 7 of 9. Wow, $121. Manning averaging 318 yards a game. Leads the SEC in passing efficiency. He has the name, Coach, but it seems like he's really raised his game to a new level this year.
He's got all the tools. He'll be a high draft choice in the National Football League, there's no question about it. He's about 6'5", and coming from a football family like he has, you know, with his daddy being a great player, his brother being a great player for the Indianapolis, he's an outstanding football player. My top 5 quarterback, J.C. Losman down in Tulane, having a pretty good year, not a great year. Eli Manning, I got to put in there. John Navarre, great quarterback in Michigan. Phillip Rivers, it might surprise you, Mike, but I'd put Craig Krenzel from Ohio State in there also.
Because you recruited the guy?
No, I recruited him, but he's having a great. All he does is win football games. I got to put him in there. I think he'll be an outstanding pro football
Those
player.
are your top 5 senior quarterbacks, right? You actually like the kid from Miami of Ohio, Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger might be the top quarterback in the country. He might be the #1 draft choice if he decides to come out this year.
All right, Miami playing Ball State today, big MAC game. And right now, our score at halftime from the Big House, the Michigan Wolverines on top of the Fighting Illini of Illinois, 35-zip. The Big Ten halftime show continues after this. SBC College Football Saturday. Get up to speed on the latest stats, chats, scores, and more with SBC Yahoo DSL. 35-zip Michigan. It'll be interesting to see how many series Lloyd Carr goes with the starters in the second half. Welcome back to the Phillips 66 Big Ten Halftime Report. It's time now to turn on the Big Ten Spotlight as it shines on State College, PA.
Do you believe in goals? The Penn State women's soccer team definitely does, both by achievement and scoring. These ladies know how to win, which is evident by their success. 2 College Cup appearances, 5 straight Big Ten titles, 3 Big Ten tournament titles, and 8 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, all within only 10 years of the program's inception. With 9 starters returning from last year's Final Four team, expectations are higher than ever for the Nittany Lions.
Last season we settled for just making it to the Final Four. but I think we've gotten past that, and now we want to win the national championship. We were so excited to get there and to be in the whole hoopla of the Final Four, but this year we have a different standard. Penn State has always been a dominant force, and it kind of puts a target on our back, especially within the Big Ten. I'm very confident in our team, and especially the team this year.
We make a statement every year with going to the NCAA tournament, and we represent the Big Ten well. We have a tradition to carry on, and I think from here we could only get better.
I believe that the players here have created a culture at Penn State to push each other to make each other better. It's a great tradition they've created both on and off the field to help each other to be the best that they possibly can be.
Be on the lookout for Penn State to make another serious run for the national championship this year. The Nittany Lions are on the loose and hungry for wins. With their goals intact, it could be feeding time on opponents.
Number 23, Chris Perry, leads the Big Ten in rushing this year. He has 12 touchdowns, 3 of the 12 today. He already has a $129 on the afternoon.
216 here, right?
Redshirt freshman from Pennsylvania, Steve Breston, 79 yards on the punt return, his second punt return for a touchdown this year. Both of those games, ESPN Plus games. It's time now to check out the Volvo Big Ten leaders as far as passing yards per game. Navarre Smoker running 1 and 2 this week. Keep in mind, Michigan heads over to East Lansing in a couple of weeks. Kyle Orton, though. Kyle Orton, 26 of 31 in the first half in his ball game against Wisconsin. It's 35-0 Michigan. You're heading back to the Big House. Enjoy the second half.
Back at Michigan Stadium, Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Beth Moen joins us on the sidelines. A very impressive first half for the Michigan Wolverines.
I don't know if Lloyd Carr's ever had a half that he has dominated in all 3 phases like he did in his first half today.
Indeed, and of course Illinois, they're up against it in the second half. They're going to just try to get something that they can build on, I would imagine, for the...
Absolutely. I think for Ron Turner, it's more about the rest of the season than it is the rest of this game. He's got a young redshirt freshman back there. Needs to be careful with his confidence and his whole team's confidence, which was very fragile even coming in here.
Getting set to kick it away for the Michigan Wolverines. Troy Neen, or make that, I beg your pardon, but Luke Pearl kicking it off. Michigan getting a lot of different personnel into the game here today. Pierre Thomas on the return for Illinois, out to the 20-yard line. Michigan in the first half was dominant. They came in wanting to work on some things, including the ground game.
Well, the ground game is what set the stage for the entire first half. They came in with an attitude, with a determination, and they went behind their best guy, Chris Perry. Yet it was Navarre through the air that got a touchdown as well to the tight end. And the special teams, outstanding at times this season. Today, very much so. Very balanced, as you saw with the touchdowns, but also 139 yards on the ground, 152 in the air, balanced in their play calling as well.
Payson on a quick toss to the flank. E.B. Halsey knocked down by Jeremy LeSueur. The Saab first half stats are going to be weighted heavily in favor of, as you might expect, the Michigan Wolverines.
Illinois only 31 yards rushing. They needed to run the ball. You knew they were going to have trouble passing because of their matchups and because of Payson being as inexperienced, and they just really haven't been able to do anything on the ground.
Michigan has played now 5 home games. This season they have not allowed a first quarter point at home. And they didn't allow much there as Grant Bowman buries the Illinois running back for virtually no gain.
Well, it's hard if you're Ron Turner, of course, to call plays when you're in this situation. You've got to balance trying to get back into the game, trying to execute, but yet you've got Chris Payson. He's probably going to be your quarterback of the future. We want to make sure we handle him carefully, give him some views, give him some looks, kind of tell him just go out there and have fun and play relaxed.
Third down and about 9 against the Michigan defense for Payson and company. There's that short drop again into double coverage, and Teddiver Hayden nearly picked away. Hall was right there along with the linebacker Lawrence Reed, and boy, they really like this kid Leon Hall. He's going to be an outstanding cornerback and played well last week at Minnesota.
Had an outstanding game, just a true freshman. He's very physical. He's an excellent tackler. You don't see that combination with true freshmen playing cornerback at the major college level, that they can tackle so well, and I think Leon Hall has already got that down.
Matt Minnis on the punt to Steve Breston. Got a big hop at the 40. Breston made 2 men miss, but couldn't make the next 3. whiff on the play, and he's brought down a force back at the 45-yard line. Estes Hood, Brad Haywood, and Winston Taylor all were there. 37-yard punt.
Wayne, take a look at what John Navarre did in the first half, where he was throwing the ball. Now, this is from the line of scrimmage to where the receiver caught the ball. Nothing in terms of after the catch. Most of it 0 to 9 yards. Very good. Only one ball was in the air over 20 yards. That was the 1-for-1. 12 completions, 9 different receivers.
No yaks on that graphic, right? No yards after the catch.
No yaks at all.
1st and 10. Perry. Perry's about 14 yards short of a 1,000-yard season. In the first half, John Navarre ran a very efficient offense.
Well, he had time to throw, and he had a running game that was working very well. That's going to open up the pass game. Sometimes when you're playing with this kind of lead and this kind of confidence, it just becomes fun. And I think John Navarre had a lot of fun in that first half.
Completed his first 9 passes of the game. Randy, how much does momentum carry over from last week to this week in a football situation like this?
I think momentum can carry you as far as your confidence does. And they're playing with a lot of confidence, especially John Navarre.
Navarre off play action. Just a bit wide, intended for Avant underneath the coverage of Abdullah near the Illinois 32-yard line.
You heard Coach Cooper talking in the studio show of how well John Navarre throws the deep ball. The NFL scouts think he's one of the best at throwing that, and he's got a wonderful touch on the deep ball. He doesn't have as good a touch on the short pass, which is the easier of the two to correct. You can develop touch on a short pass easier than you can develop it on the long ball.
3rd down for Michigan. They had good success on 3rd downs in the first half. Navarre. Wide of the mark there. Breston was open underneath the coverage, but Navarre getting some last-second pressure perhaps off the mark on the short. You know, ironically, Randy, it's the short patterns that Navarre has had problems with in his career, and that still has some people wondering about his prospects on the next level.
You could see he went right over to Steve Breston. There was a miscommunication there. Navarre thought Breston was going to do something that Breston obviously didn't do.
E.B. Halsey spinning his way like a top across the 15, out close to the 20-yard line. Carl Diggs made the stop along with Kevin Dudley. 46-yard punt, 13-yard return. Michigan in the early going of the 3rd quarter playing on a big lead. Back in Michigan, Wolverines in firm command of this one as Illinois takes over 1st and 10. E.B. Halsey shaken up on that punt return a moment ago. Suffered what looked like maybe a hit in the knee or something there. Payson, nice throw to the sideline, and not enough for the 1st down, but a gain of about 6 yards. Kornfeld made the catch. Mark Kornfeld and Jeremy LeSueur the coverage. The coverage on the corners has been very good for Michigan today.
Well, they don't fear the Illini speed at wide receiver. So you feel as a cornerback, even if a guy gets behind me, I can catch up. I can recover. So you take a few more chances, and they've been doing a nice job of playing press coverage, forcing Payson to throw the ball deeper down the field.
Slot at the bottom of your screen, 2nd down. This should be a free play for Illinois. Kerry Davis gets the call, picks up a couple of yards, not enough for the 1st down, but it looked like Michigan violated the neutral zone. Elaine Kashama, defensive lineman for Michigan, who has been struggling this season, maybe the man who jumped off sides.
Nice job by Payson using his voice to draw Michigan off sides.
4th Michigan penalty today. So Kashama comes off. Patrick Massey goes back in. The penalty story. So it's 1st down for Illinois. Pierre Thomas, the true freshman, the lone setback. Payson screens it out to Thomas. Thomas trying to escape and gets out across the 35 to the 39-yard line. Time now for a look at an Army of One brought to you by the United States Army. Not long ago, Illinois, the Fighting Illini, won the Big Ten championship and played in the Sugar Bowl. But for an Illini fan, I guess the way this season has gone, penalty marker thrown late, by the way, in the play. But the way this season has gone, it seems like a long, long time ago.
And you wonder if you'll ever get there again. How can you go from one extreme to the other, both being poor and then as good as they were 2 years ago, to now the struggles that Ron Turner has?
Personal foul late hit Michigan, and that's why the officials moved the football. As 4 first downs today, 3 by penalty for Ron Turner and company.
Well, that really shows you again the dominance that Michigan has had, especially up front. Illinois, that did a better job running the ball last week against a good Michigan State defense, hasn't had near the success today that they've needed or that they had last week.
Slot at the bottom of your screen. Chris Payson under center. Play fake. Now Payson being flushed. Lamar Woodley got him down. A penalty marker flies late once again. Woodley brought him down with a glancing blow. That's a true freshman for Michigan. Holding the call against Illinois, the preliminary indication. Well, they're missing John Butcher, who is their senior quarterback out of Wheaton, Illinois. And that's why Chris Payson is playing here today, a redshirt freshman.
Not sure how long Butcher is going to be out either. He's got some problems mostly with his back, and that's the thing that can last a week or a month.
Holding, offense, 10 yards, still first down.
And Ron Turner mentioned that, you know, the back situation was much better yesterday, but again, they just don't know when they'll get him back. This is what, you know, he brought to the table. This is an experienced hand at quarterback.
Butcher throws for a high completion percentage, considering how far the Illinois offense asks the quarterback to throw the ball down the field. It's not a lot of short stuff. It's a lot of medium, long stuff.
Blitz coming. Payson, and the pass dropped by the junior receiver, Kelvin Hayden, the junior out of Chicago, Illinois, junior college transfer.
Boy, Chris Payson is not getting a lot of help from his teammates today. He's been under some pressure. The backs are running hard, but there just aren't holes there, and the receivers aren't doing anything to help their young quarterback out. And as Coach Cooper said, when you got a freshman playing quarterback, you go to your seniors and your leaders and say, you got to step it up. You got to make things happen. And Chris Payson's not getting that help.
3 drops by the Illinois receiving corps. 2nd down and long. Tight end in motion. Payson, oh, nice hit. Kornfeld, first down and more. He has been, if there is a big play receiver for Illinois, it has been Mark Kornfeld. Of his 27 catches coming into today's game, 22 have converted first downs. 25 yards there for a big first down to the Michigan 30.
Nice job by Payson seeing this play develop. Watch how quickly he gets rid of the ball, get it to my open guy before the linebacker can drop underneath where that throw would go. Kornfeld does a great job of catching it while running full speed and continuing with the run.
Kerry Davis getting the call again. E.B. Halsey shaken up on a punt return that prefaced this drive here in the 3rd quarter. We're not sure on his status. It looked like he bumped a knee, may have bruised a knee. Patrick Massey makes the stop here.
Kerry Davis has missed some time this year. He missed a game early, had his knee scoped. Then when he came back, he developed a staph infection in that and missed 3 games. So he just now is getting back into the flow of things.
3 receivers set. 2nd down. Payson wide of the mark for Kornfeld. Jeremy LeSueur right there. And Beth Mowens, what do you have on the injured Illinois running back?
Well, more bad news for the Fighting Illini. E.B. Halsey, a right knee injury. He is out for the remainder of the game. And one of their top defenders guys early on, Derek Strong, the latest update. He is back out on the sideline, has his helmet, but has yet to return to the game. Wayne?
You know, and looking at the replay, Beth, it looked like somebody fell on the back of the knee of E.B. Halsey at the end of that play. Maybe that's where the injury occurred.
If there's one big play threat the Illini have, it is with Halsey in special teams as well as from the offensive snap, and he's out, as we heard, the rest of the day.
3rd down. Payson, the short drop again. Hayden ran a stop pattern and lost the coverage, gets the first down. Came back for it nicely. Illinois now 1 of 8 on third downs this game. Leon Hall, the cornerback on the far side, made the play.
Wayne, only a 5 or 6 yard play, but a huge play for Chris Payson and his confidence and his timing. This was pretty good coverage, but Hayden ran a nice route. Payson had to throw the ball before Hayden turned around. It's a timing route, threw it to the perfect spot, executed very well.
Hayden goes to the top of your screen. Adiamo and Kornfeld at the bottom. And Payson maybe changing the play at the line here, Randy.
You can see the 7 men thinking the blitz is coming from the outside. Kerry Davis, the tailback, does a nice job turning and calling timeout. Great heads-up play.
Prior to the 25-second clock expiring, we have a timeout granted to Illinois. First team timeout.
Kerry Davis, the senior from Florissant, Missouri, the heads-up call on the timeout with 9:26 to go in the third.
Not only good heads up, keeping your mind into the game, but realizing Payson is calling an audible, trying to change things. Sometimes it's better to let the clock run down and take the 5-yard penalty rather than wasting a timeout. Certainly not with a first down on the 17-yard line. Good heads up play by the senior.
And certainly not given the game situation, 35-0.
Yeah.
Today's Big Ten football game is brought to you by Saab. Welcome to the state of independence. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. By Guinness Draft Stout, enjoyed responsibly the world over. And Napa Auto Care Centers. Napa, get the good stuff. Wayne Larrivee, Randy Wright, Beth Mowens on the beautiful campus of the University of Michigan. And the colors have changed here in mid-October. Wish we had a little more sunshine. We had a beautiful day here yesterday. Overcast today. 1st and 10. They reverse it to Hayden again. He got 11 yards in the first quarter on this play. Hayden making a couple of men miss and gets close to the first down marker inside the 10. Grant Bowman, Willis Behringer collaborate on the stop.
Excellent call by Ron Turner. Had Michigan in the right defense. The man-to-man, your receivers run the coverage guys off. They come back with the reverse. Jeremy Lusur had a chance to make the stop. Hayden a nice run.
Well, they're inside the red zone, and that's the Red Roof Inn red zone proficiency. 98% of Red Roof Inn guests plan to come back, so we'll see you soon. I'd certainly like to do better than just 7 touchdowns and 16 red zone opportunities. And maybe they can improve that here.
Well, the other thing jumps out at you, Wayne. 7 games into the season, they've only been down there 16 times.
That tells you a lot. And I believe they're going to be just short of that first down here, 2nd and inches. Chris Payson came into the game, 12 of 16 passing, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. That was in mop-up duty against Purdue and Michigan State. Straight ahead move, Pierre Thomas, true freshman, down to the 5-yard line. Ron Turner has 3 true freshmen at running back. E.B. Halsey, whom we saw earlier today, Marcus Mason, and then Pierre Thomas. Mason, the all-time leading rusher in Maryland high school football history, and Pierre Thomas, who is a highly regarded prospect out of Thornton Fractional South High School in Linwood, Illinois.
A little different team we're seeing with Illinois here in the second half. First half, they struggle. Only 50 total yards. Here in this third quarter, putting a nice drive together, already 67.
Thomas, the lone setback. 2 tight ends on the line. Pierre Thomas smells the goal line and is turned back just short at the 1-yard line. LaVar Woodley came in from the defensive end spot of the Michigan Wolverines.
When you talk about the 3 true freshmen at the tailback spot, Pierre Thomas may be the hardest runner. He's got a great burst, a little more powerful than Halsey or Mason. The hardest thing for true freshmen to pick up is the passing game blocking schemes. And in Ron Turner's offense, it is even more so important to be able to do that. That's why it's really an accomplishment for these 3 freshmen to be playing in this offense so early.
The 11th play of the drive. They only had 21 plays in the entire first half. Pierre Thomas. No indication yet as he goes into the crowd.
I think the officials are the only one that haven't signaled touchdown yet. It looked as though he was going to be in.
And he is. Touchdown, Illinois. So a late call. They had to wait for the pile to unravel. And Pierre Thomas gets the touchdown, and that's his first touchdown in his career. They've got some good young talent on this team. It's just very young.
Take a look at there. Thomas following his fullback, Kerry Davis. Contact on contact there, and just keeps those legs moving. And a nice drive by Illinois. Start this second half for them.
John Guckman's point after touchdown is good. Penalty markers are down. Penalty markers down. And apparently too many men on the field for Michigan. Illegal participation.
Defense, 12 men, illegal participation. Penalties decline. PAT is good.
So the Fighting Illini finally reached the board. Just under 8 minutes to go. Third quarter. Pierre Thomas, a true freshman out of Linwood, Illinois. His first career touchdown. Back at Michigan, Illinois on the board for the first time today, trailing 35-7. Just under 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Homecoming weekend. A lot of alumni in town here. Brought band members back and cheerleaders. These are some of the current undergrads.
Oh no!
And here's the kickoff. Brackens straddling the goal line. Out to the 36-yard line. Pierre Thomas, who scored the touchdown a moment ago for Illinois, makes the tackle on special teams, and somebody was decleated.
Decleated himself. There wasn't anybody around. Ran right up. Now that is acceleration.
Yes.
That is acceleration.
He ran right out of his shoes, Randy.
Well, nice job by Ron Turner getting his team focused to come out. Nice drive, best drive of the day. First career touchdown for Pierre Thomas. And like I said, with Ron Turner, it's about getting his team to have some confidence in their system and what they're doing. And nice job.
Chris Perry reaching across the 30 to the 33-yard line on a gain of about 7 yards. This week's passing combinations brought to you by Cargill. Collaborate, create, and succeed. Drew Henson to Marcus Knight. We might have seen that back in 1999.
We may have Todd Collins to Derek Alexander, but there are some names that a lot of people here have heard before.
Of course, Rick Leach.
How come 2 of those 3 were in the post-Bo Schembechler era? Think that had anything to do with it?
I just think it's a matter of circumstance, that's all. Jason Avant backpedaling out of bounds, didn't have possession, apparently. Jason says, what do you mean? John Navarre, boy, we met Jason Avant yesterday. We met John Navarre our last trip in here. Jason Avant has huge hands. John Navarre is throwing to a guy wearing a catcher's mitt. He's got big hands, doesn't he?
It's hard to miss that target.
Yeah, I mean,
you can be Tim Wakefield and hit his hands.
I don't think Jason Avant could drop the ball if he wanted to.
Well, he has really developed into the go-to guy. Coming into the season, it was Braylon Edwards, but it's really Jason Avant that has stepped up and been the guy that Navarre has more confidence in.
Calvin Bell in motion from the near side of your screen, but going the other way, a long throw. Navarre hits his man. Boy, Jason Avant out of bounds, just short of the midfield marker. 17-yard gain. Sharif Abdullah made the stop.
Well, Jason Avant does a nice job of running this route and then keeping his balance as he's actually going backwards as he catches that ball. That's not easy to do. He does a nice job staying in bounds this play, watching that ball into his hands.
Navarre over 2,000 yards passing this season. 1st and 10. They're already knocking on the Illini territorial door. And whistles hold up the action, false start or illegal motion.
Like that left side.
5 yards.
Left side of the Michigan line. Jumped a little early that time.
To Beth Mowens. Beth?
Well, a couple of things have helped out the game of Jason Avant. First of all, wide receiver coach Eric Campbell, he was telling us his technique yesterday. Look the ball in, tuck it away, and then get it up the field. he felt that if he won the battles and worked on his technique, he'd be in pretty good shape. He's also learned a lot from watching John Navarre and how John handles the criticisms both on and off the field. Says it's helped make him a better player.
Well, Navarre certainly handles a lot of that, doesn't he?
Too much.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think John Navarre is a fine college quarterback. Outstanding, matter of fact. Navarre looking around. And a nice catch made there by Massacoy, and they are making an effort to get the tight ends involved. Randy, and you could kind of see what Lloyd Carr wanted to do here today. He wanted to work on the running game, so they come out right away and they run the football with authority. He wanted to work on some of the short passing game. We've seen some of that here today, including that throw right there. And, you know, he wanted to make sure that they got themselves back together defensively, got themselves on track, and they've really stopped the Illinois ground game.
They have a tough schedule the rest of the way. He didn't feel he could run the table unless the running game gets back to the Michigan style of football.
Blitz coming, Navarre over the middle, and it's dropped by the tight end Massacoy. That was an outstanding play by John Navarre, who hung in. I'm sure he could feel Eric McGoey coming in from his blind side on the blitz.
He did a great job of staying in the pocket, letting Massacoy get downfield, knowing he was going to take the hit and getting the ball in a position where Massacoy could catch it. Take a look. He's just so big and strong. He's got enough strength to stay in there and take that hit.
Randy, he was hit before he released the football. My goodness.
You know, he's got such a big trunk, a big wide base that it really gives him the opportunity to stand in there firmly like that and throw that ball.
Navarre again back to throw on third down. Avant. Oh, nice adjustment by Avant, the receiver, there to a pass thrown to his back hip. And a first down to the Illinois 38-yard line. Travis Williams had the coverage, 14-yard gain.
Well, that's where those big hands come in handy like that. That was a tough catch. See the blitz coming the right side of your screen. There it comes, McGoey. Navarre gets good protection. This ball is thrown well behind Avant, but he reaches back and makes a wonderful catch.
Sun starting to come out here in Michigan. We expected this a little bit earlier today, but nonetheless been a great day for football. Chris Perry, a little stop and go to get about 4 yards to the 35-yard line. Gilstrap and Tischer on the stop for Illinois.
Wait, I want to go back to a point Beth Mowens made a few minutes ago with Avant and what they're taught in terms of how to catch the ball. You look it in, you tuck it away, and then you run with it. Most of the drops that Michigan receivers have had this year, and there have been a lot, is because they're running with the ball before they catch it.
And that was the case with Braylon Edwards earlier this season. So much criticism, not just from the outside, but from inside this football team and program of Braylon Edwards. He was not doing that. He was not tucking it away. He was running before he had the football more often than not. Second down. Little swing pass. And they feed Brian Thompson, a hard-working fullback, a bone, and he gets a first down.
Let's give him a bone. Just give him a little 6-yard completion, and that'll keep him quiet. Now he can block for us for the rest of the game.
Now he'll block for the rest of the 27 yards.
Well, he's got 4 receptions coming into today, so they probably throw to him about once every 2 games.
Those fullbacks, they get no respect, you know.
Well, there's so much depth in the passing game on this Wolverine offense. It's hard to keep them all happy.
He's hit, what, 10 receivers in this game here today? First and 10, stretch play here. Bracken to the end zone. Bracken, touchdown! "27 yards for Tim Bracken, the senior."
Well, with all that talent, you don't get a chance to touch the ball very often, and when you do, you better make something happen, and that was the case with Tim Bracken right there. Watch the offensive line pull around, come off the ball. Pretty good blocking, excellent blocking downfield, and Bracken sets up those blocks. Nice run.
Bracken, as we said, had slipped deep on the depth chart with all that talent at running back Michigan has. Rivas' extra point is good. First touchdown of the season for Bracken, his second career score as Lloyd Carr dips deep into his stable of running backs. And boy, I tell you, Tim Bracken could do a run like this for just about anybody in the Big Ten. Derek Strong's been trying to hobble through this one with an ankle injury suffered in the first half, and it looks like he's getting another tape job. Meanwhile, Tim Bracken, a senior who hadn't carried the ball much at all this season, getting a major play here behind Chris Perry today. And Luke Pearl kicking off for Michigan to restart the ball game. Good height into this kick. Pierre Thomas from the 5. Thomas breaking a tackle to the 15, gets it across the 20-yard line. Let's take a moment to thank our corporate partners here today. Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big Ten Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. And by WorldSpan, official travel distribution and technology provider of the Big Ten Conference. Injured Wolverine down on the field near the 15-yard line. I wonder if that's Ernest Shazor, possibly. Hard to see the number.
Looks like it could be Jacob Stewart, 28.
You may be right, 28, Jacob Stewart.
Who had the big interception return for the touchdown last week in the Minnesota game and helped contribute to that comeback.
There were so many plays in that game at Minnesota in the fourth quarter that allowed Michigan to come back, and Michigan made those plays. There was a fumble by Chris Perry as Michigan was setting up for what would be the game-winning field goal that was recovered by Tim Massaquoi, the tight end. And it wasn't a careless fumble by Perry. When a Minnesota defender put the hat on the ball, when that happens, the ball's coming loose. I don't care who's carrying it.
Well,
but Massaquoi made the recovery, preserved the drive, and allowed Michigan to win in regulation.
You commented earlier that they were so far behind and had to come back that they couldn't afford one single mistake on the offensive side of the ball. A holding penalty, a turnover, an interception, a sack, a missed third down conversion. So that was a complete effort by that team, especially the offensive side of the ball, to come back and make the plays.
We'll get an update on Jacob Stewart, the sophomore from Ypsilanti, Michigan, and when we get an opportunity to. First down now for Illinois. Football out across the 22-yard line. Payson. Pass short and wide of the mark, intended for the freshman receiver Lonnie Hurst. You know, you brought up a point. We were talking off the air about this stage of the game. Both of these teams are playing a lot of freshmen, but especially Illinois. And at this stage of the game, at this stage of the season, freshmen have a tendency to hit that wall. This is a long season. It began back in early August in terms of training camp and the games they're playing. And you know, sometimes they'll hit a wall like that.
They tend to burn out because this is a much longer with training camp, and they get sloppy in their routes. They get sloppy in their endurance, and what happens is they just aren't as crisp and as sharp. And in an offense like Illinois, it really can affect you because it's such a timing offense.
Pierre Thomas reaching for the 25. And I noticed that, I brought that up because Lonnie Hurst, I've noticed that with him, his role has seemingly decreased a little bit in recent weeks, it seems like. And he is a true freshman and out of Detroit, Michigan, and it was fired up to play in this game here today. I mean, this is his first trip as a player to Michigan Stadium.
Well, what happens is you get a little banged up as the season goes on. You get a little deeper into it, and your concentration goes first. And for a wide receiver, that's going to lead to dropped passes. It's going to lead to running the 18-yard route at 15 yards, which is going to lead to interceptions and incompletions.
Third down for Illinois. Michigan coming on a blitz. They blitz two linebackers, and the pass between defenders incomplete. Intended downfield for the big tight end, Melvin Bryant. Willis Behringer, Ernest Shazor were in the neighborhood.
Well, Jim Herman has done a nice job calling the defensive signals for Michigan with mixing things up. Shazor has been the safety that has really been more responsible for pass coverage. He's playing deeper, and he's flying all over the field, disguising things well and not giving Chris Payson a chance to get a good pre-snap read.
Seventh 3 and out. And here's the punt. 7th 3 and out for Michigan. And Breston this time makes a fair catch looking up into the sun, and Michigan will start at the 29 in Wolverine territory. Back to Mike Gleason of the Big Ten studio.
And Wayne, the Temple Owls and the Miami Hurricanes. Remember, Temple once led this ball game 7-0. Watch this. Right up the middle, special teams. Oh, that's DJ Williams. You might remember he was a big-time fullback in high school. This time he goes 61 yards for the touchdown. It's 38-14 right now, Miami. And Georgia Vanderbilt in Nashville, Georgia, averaging about 29 points a game. Right now they're scoreless with Vandy.
Thank you, Mike. Michigan ready to go, 1st and 10. Later stages, third quarter. Underwood breaks a tackle attempt and gets out across the 30-yard line. Sinclair made the stop. Ryan Matha was there. The All-State College Football Rankings brought to you by Allstate. The good hands make all the difference. And Oklahoma, well, 3 unbeatens at the top of the chart.
You know, Wayne, most people seem to think Oklahoma is head and shoulders and waist above everybody else. The more I see that Miami team, looking at the competition that they play, I'm not convinced that they're not at least up into the shoulder area.
Okay. There's Underwood. First down. David Underwood, nice hole up the middle, opened up by the offensive line. Sinclair made the stop, and it's a 1st and 10. Eric McGoey was also there. Now, here's what Miami has left, Randy, and maybe they can jump up ahead of Oklahoma, but this is what remains.
Well, they've already played Florida State and Florida. Look at the Virginia Tech on the road, and then Tennessee, that maybe is not the same Tennessee team of a couple of years ago, but that's tough. And then to finish at Pittsburgh, you never tell what's going to happen there.
1st and 10. Walt Harris at Pittsburgh does an excellent job of that program, doesn't he?
Really turned it around nicely.
They're part of the reason why it's tougher for Penn State to get top Pennsylvania players in there anymore. They get some, but not as many as they used to. Underwood turned around here, gains of about a yard. Lee Robinson, the defensive lineman, played it well. I mean, you take a look at a program like Pittsburgh, and my point is that certainly Penn State recruits nationally, and they do get great players at Penn State, but Pittsburgh's making a little tougher maybe for that, giving that Western Pennsylvania kid more of a choice, I guess.
Absolutely. Penn State has to fight for recruiting now, and they still, as you said, get some of the players. They don't get all of them, and they have not recruited near as well lately, which is one of the reasons why they've struggled. And with Paterno being there, how much longer is he going to coach? I'm sure that's a thought in some of those players' minds.
Navarre, quick toss. Carl Tabb makes the catch on a gain of about 5 yards. Eric McGoey jumped on him on the coverage.
Carl Tabb is one of those redshirt freshmen that came in the same class as Steve Breston. And Breston has developed a little bit quicker and been involved in the offense and special teams a little sooner, but they're very high on Carl Tabb. And you look at some of this talent. Jason Avant is only a sophomore. Tabb's a redshirt freshman. Breston a redshirt freshman. They're going to be good at that spot for a long time.
Well, they've got incredible depth. You're right. Navarre under an all-out blitz, screens it out the other way. Bracken into Illinois territory and close to a 1st down. Jeff Ruffin got him to the ground.
Nice job defensively by Illinois, bringing the blitz from the top of the screen. The play was set up to go to the right side where the screen was, but yet they flowed over there. They knew where the pressure was coming. They slanted the other way and had the whole field defended.
And Michigan just short of the 1st down. They bring the punting unit on. Adam Finley on a punt formation. Mark Kornfeld drops back deep to receive. In place of the injured E.B. Halsey, suffered a knee injury in this 3rd quarter. Fair catch signal made by Kornfeld, and he makes it at the 17-yard line of Illinois, where the Fighting Illini will put it in play, trailing 42-7 with 1:15 to go in the 3rd. Coming up next week, we will be in Champaign to see the Fighting Illini against the high-powered Minnesota Golden Gophers. The Big Ten studio kicks things off at noon Eastern with an in-depth look at all the action of the Big Ten. That's Minnesota, Illinois, next Saturday, October 25th. Be sure to check local listings for the game in your area.
Boy, anxious to see that Minnesota offense, and if they can sustain the success they've had earlier throughout the season with some injuries that'll start to mount, and that running game is something fun to watch.
Pays into the sidelines, and a fumble, and they're going to rule that he was down before the fumble. Kelvin Hayden on the reception, and then Prescott Burgess and Leon Hall arrived on the scene for Michigan defensively.
When you talked about Kelvin Hayden, the junior college transfer, was the National Junior College Offensive Player of the Year. And really, it takes more than one receiver to come in and contribute in a passing offense. And he was the big name guy, but with nobody else really to go to, teams have been able to shut him down pretty well this year.
I think that what they'll probably try to do at Illinois next year in recruiting is get a speed merchant in here that can stretch the defense a little bit, open things up for Lonnie Hurst and Kelvin Hayden and Mark Kornfeld and company. Underneath, Payson over the middle. Oh, nice play here. Jason Davis motoring across the 45-yard line. Payson helped keep that play alive with his feet. 24 yards downfield, the tackle made by Leon Hall, and Willis Behringer on Jason Davis.
Boy, it was a nice play. Not only, as you said, keeping the play alive with your feet, but keeping your eyes up and down the field so that you can see things develop. You don't bring your eyes down to look to where to run. You let it play, you develop it, you let it happen, and then you find your receiver.
Final play, third quarter. Payson, a little pump fake once, then is hit from behind as he lets it go. Are they ruling a fumble? If it is a fumble, Michigan may have it near the 49-yard line. A pile up near the 49-yard line of Michigan. And it's Michigan ball.
You can't fault Chris Payson on this play. He's stepping up. Whenever you have a play happen for you immediately before this, you feel that you got some confidence in it. You try and let the same thing happen. This time as Payson stepped up, though, the rush got to him and caused the fumble.
Scott McClintock made the recovery. Rondell Biggs forced the fumble as the third quarter comes to a close. Michigan has had it its way. Brackens, the senior, leads a touchdown barrage by the Wolverines here in Ann Arbor. Michigan leading it 42-7. Leading Illinois big here in Michigan, getting itself together for the stretch run. Matt Gutierrez, a redshirt freshman, Concord, California, comes on to pilot the Wolverines here in the fourth quarter. Not much there in a straight ahead move. Well, John Navarre, 18 of 27, 203 yards and a touchdown. The first turnover of the ball game happened just a moment ago when Chris Payson was hit from behind, fumbled the football, and it was recovered by Michigan. So when you consider that with a freshman quarterback, it would. Again, I think that what you're seeing is that Ron Turner was very careful in not putting his quarterback in a position where he could make a lot of mistakes.
I think Ron Turner realized what he was up against coming in here with the weapons he had, and wisely thought, you know what, let's try and make things happen if we can, but let's think about where we want to go. We've got a long mountain to climb, but let's try and get there.
John Navarre, and there are the numbers on him, and again played so well in that fourth quarter at Minnesota. Now he's relegated to the sideline, signaling in the plays.
Well, a lot of short passes. That's really all that Illinois gave him. And wisely, he didn't try and force it downfield, didn't get greedy. Take what they give you. You got enough talent around you to let them make the plays.
Third down here for Matt Gutierrez and company. Bracken, first down and more, down to the 35-yard line. The game track, Randy, in this ball game thus far to get everybody up to date?
Well, it's all Michigan, as you can tell by the score. First of all, it comes with balance. You've got Steve Preston, who here on special teams gets things going. Another touchdown, and then it's strength right behind that offensive line. Chris Perry, 3 touchdown runs today. That one may have been the easiest with only 1 yard to go. Others have been from further out and more on his shoulders.
First and 10 for Michigan at the 25 of Illinois. Underwood is the tail of the tandem in the eye. Gutierrez to the air, and he's got the fullback Thompson, and Thompson brought down in the open field. Nice tackle for the Fighting Illini made by Sharif Abdullah, supporting from the cornerback spot.
Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator for the Wolverines, likes a balanced offense. He feels that that's what they need. That's where this offense is at their best. Take a look at the first half. They wanted to establish the run. They did that, still threw 17 passes, even with the lead, though. Only 12 rushing attempts in the second half, 18 passes. He's determined to get this offense where they wanted to finish out this season.
I would say he's getting there. If he's not already there.
I would say they should be pretty pleased with this performance all around.
Look at this. Pierre Rembert, one of the explosive redshirt freshman running backs on this squad. He's got a first down. Sharif Abdullah makes the tackle, saved a touchdown. Rembert is from the same high school as John Navarre, Cudahy High School, a suburb of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Well, you mentioned just one of the young backs this Michigan team has, and I think Lloyd Carr sent the signal to his team he wanted to. we're going to run with determination. We're going to turn to our seniors, Chris Perry, Tim Bracken. Now that they've done that, let the younger guys get a chance.
Rembert, who just went for 10 yards. It's a few more here as a penalty marker flies. Maybe for a hold on that play. Robinson and Tischer make the stop. Gain of about 5. Penalty going against the Michigan Wolverines for a hold. Pierre Rembert.
Holding on the offense. 10 yards. Previous spot. Go first down.
Rushed for 5,203 career yards in high school. And there's the trio of quarterbacks signaling in plays. John Navarre, the senior, takes his place on that line. Matt Gutierrez did it for most of the game.
You know, I like that, though, because as we talked earlier, it keeps your quarterbacks into the game. It even keeps Navarre into the game.
You would hope at 42-7 he's not planning on coming back.
Well, but Lloyd Carr is not going to let anybody take any time off.
No. Gutierrez, the short 2-step drop. Oh, and a bullet feed behind Carl Tabb, who took a shot from Eric McGoey. My goodness. He got lit up there.
Well, John Navarre has told us, boy, you know, I'm a senior here, and you look at all this young talent around me. There you saw Carl Tabb in on the pass route. We've talked about the young running backs, and he's going to be sad to leave here. He's played a lot of games. Today his 37th start, but he's going to be disappointed to leave here with all this young talent.
Second down and long. Gutierrez to the air again, screens it out. Oh, nice coverage by Illinois, making the tackle Ty Myers on Pierre Rembert. And let's go back to Mike Gleason.
Wayne, they continue to slug it out. Madison still 20-13 Purdue. Jim Sorgi left the game last week against the Buckeyes, and coach, he's out again.
He's out again. That gives Matt Shabert, the junior quarterback, a chance to come back in and play. Remember last week he came in late in the ball game, threw a 79-yard touchdown pass to Lee Evans, which won the game.
Look at this statement game for Michigan State, 37-24.
A big day for Michigan State. I'm impressed. 37 points against the Gophers.
You're right, guys. Quite a statement by Michigan State. They are definitely for real. Gutierrez going deep. Carl Tabb is out there, and it's just off the mark, incomplete. Mark Jackson had the coverage downfield.
Boy, what a great throw by Matt Gutierrez. One of the more difficult throws to make in the game, and he puts that ball right on the money.
You know, the coaches were talking about Gutierrez, and Lloyd Carr mentioned that. He says, you know, when this kid, they recruited him, he signed early, okay? He's a senior in high school. It's spring break. And he pays his way to come in from Concord, California, sets up living arrangements to spend a week at Michigan's spring practice. Now, obviously he didn't practice, but I mean, he was there, and he is, as you mentioned earlier, Randy, a diligent worker in the classroom, both in school and in football. And Adam Finley waiting in punt formation now to kick this thing away. And
I think they're a little too close. They like to back this up 5 yards and give Finley a little more room to try and pin him back against their own goal line.
The delay of game here.
Ball, delay game, offense. 5 yards, still 4th down.
Finley has placed 6 inside the 20. He's had a punt block, and he's had 1 touchback. And it's pretty windy here at Michigan. Good strong wind to his back. And I think the wind got a hold of that one. And Illinois, as a result, will get it at the 20-yard line.
You should have taken a personal foul instead of a delay of game.
Yeah, they needed a personal foul. All right, we continue to motor through. Just over 11 minutes to go in the 4th. Just over 11 minutes to go in this one. It's been all Michigan. And the Fighting Illini of Illinois will get an opportunity to work some more offense here with their redshirt freshman quarterback, Chris Payson. And getting the call here is Marcus Mason, the true freshman out of Pontiac, Maryland. The BMW ultimate drive of the game. And we'll go back to the 3rd quarter. This is a fine run by the senior, Tim Bracken. 27-yard touchdown run to put the camper on a 9-play, 74-yard drive for Michigan.
Good to see Tim Bracken get an opportunity to carry the ball. Really, he hasn't had much action at all this year, but today came out and ran hard, and I'm sure gave Lloyd Carr what he was looking for.
Payson may have been trying to force that one a little bit into double coverage to Anthony McClellan, the tight end. And it leaves a third down coming up for Illinois. Prescott Burgess and Zach Kaufman on the play for Michigan.
Wayne, in talking to Ron Turner this week, he doesn't know how long John Butcher is going to be out. And one of the questions we asked him is, if Butcher's going to come back next week, you think, would you be more likely to play Dustin Ward, the senior backup, or Chris Payson? His feeling is, if Butcher's going to be out longer, I would tend to go with Payson a little bit more because he can develop longer than Ward, who's already a senior.
Payson's throw here, picked off. Ernest Shazar with a spinning interception. There is a penalty marker down to the offensive backfield. Shazar's out of bounds near the 25-yard line of Illinois. First interception, second turnover by Payson pending the outcome of the flag. Payson lost a fumble here in the third quarter, or in the third quarter, I should say, holding against Illinois, and they'll turn down that penalty.
One of the few balls that Payson has really had sail on him. Really seemed to get away into the wind, and the wind seemed to keep that ball up in the air, badly overthrown. And Shazar, who has been involved all day, take a look there at the hit. And Shazar, who's been involved in pass coverage all day today, in the right spot, does a nice job following that, making the interception.
So the Michigan offense will be back on the field with great field position, as if they needed any better, leading 42-7.
But you really got Ron Turner in a tough spot there. Chris Payson, as you see, 11 for 23. You have to throw the ball. You got to give your young guys some experience, but you really are playing with some fragile confidence, and you have to find that happy medium.
Jackson in the ball game for Michigan, Jerome Jackson. His brother Terry plays at Minnesota. Josh Tischer made the stop on a gain of a couple of yards. Well, you're right, and for the better part of three quarters, Illinois did not have a turnover, which, you know, I think speaks to the way they handled the game plan with a freshman quarterback here.
Well, I think Ron Turner has got a real talent there. I like the way Payson, he's got a very good release. He seems to have some good poise in the pocket, and I think Ron Turner knows he's got a good one there, and this is more than about just this game.
Gutierrez, Massaquoi, touchdown, Michigan.
Well, I'd say Michigan has accomplished one of the things today. They've got their tight ends back involved in their offense. Speaking of quarterbacks of the future, Matt Gutierrez is a redshirt freshman. He will be one of only 2 quarterbacks on scholarship for Michigan this spring. It's one of the voids that they have, and he is very definitely the heir apparent to that job.
Garrett Rivas puts it through the uprights. 21-yard touchdown strike. Matt Gutierrez, nice looking throw to Tim Massaquoi. 49-7 Michigan.
Back in Michigan, where the Wolverines are up 49-7. Take a look at this last touchdown. Here's Massaquoi. He's going to come across. These linebackers are going to flow this way, and they can't get back in position to hit him. Somebody's got to check him at the line of scrimmage and not let him get that clean release. And of course, somebody's got to cover him, and both of those assignments were blown. You got to block and keep your tight ends at the line of scrimmage longer than that.
Kickoff. Good leverage into it. And I think Thomas lost it in the sun. It just bounced right past him out of the end zone. Today's Big Ten football game is brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. By Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big Ten Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. By BMW, the ultimate driving machine. And AT&T Wireless, reach out on the wireless service America trusts. AT&T Wireless. Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Beth Mowens. It's turned out to be a beautiful day here at Michigan. Dustin Ward in at quarterback for The Fighting Illini of Illinois, Jason Davis around the end, and he gets about 8 yards.
Wayne, I like this move by Ron Turner, putting Dustin Ward in at quarterback. You're not going to get a ton of experience in the last 9 minutes of a game like this, and I don't think Ron Turner wants to expose Chris Payson to anything more than he already has.
Dustin Ward has overcome off-season shoulder surgery. He finished last year as the starter at quarterback, played in 7 games a year ago with 5 starts. He's out of Champaign, Illinois, Centennial High School, a local product in Champaign. And they apparently have the first down right there. Chris Payson, the numbers on him.
There will be better days in your future, young man, and I like his poise. And as we've talked about, I think he's got an outstanding future. He's got a lot of the tools, and Ron Turner is confident that he can be the guy to turn the program around. Remember, Kurt Kittner was a freshman playing and had days like this not that long ago.
And as you mentioned earlier, Kurt Kittner will start for the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow in their football game, making his first career NFL start. First and 10, football to the 30-yard line of Illinois. Dustin Ward, that 3-step drop. Nice toss on the slant. Adi Adiyamo on a gain of 9 out to the 39-yard line. Better than 110,000 back in Michigan Stadium for homecoming weekend in Ann Arbor. Along with Beth Mowens and Randy Wright, I'm Wayne Larrabee. Nice to have you with us. And take a look at these numbers. My goodness.
You know, the more and more we're here, the more we're convinced it doesn't matter who the opponent is. They're going to have 110,000 plus. They're going to have sellout crowd.
Pierre Thomas on the carry. Picks up the first down out across the 40-yard line. Well, it's a great tradition. It's a wonderful place to come to for a college football weekend, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Can't imagine there are many better venues to do a game and to be a fan and watch.
Take a look at the record on homecoming. They don't just party here on homecoming, at least not the football team.
They only party if the team wins.
Yes.
They take it seriously.
First and 10 for Illinois. Thomas trying to escape to the outside. Wolverines flowed well to the football, including Prescott Burgess. Burgess, defensive back, going to see some time in the linebacking core a little bit. Boy, they've got a lot of young redshirt and true freshman defensive backs on this team. And that was part of what they were talking about last week, how, you know, it's been hard in their 2 losses this year that really they have some great leaders, Randy. They have some great senior leadership on this football team. But they are leading a lot of underclassmen and true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomore talent.
And that's kind of what college ball has turned into today. Boy, what a great catch right there by Mark Kornfeld. Ball thrown a little high and goes up and hauls that down. But Wayne, I think that's what college ball has really turned into. The 85 scholarships limit you. You can only have the 20 walk-ons. And I think because of that, you've got to play younger players to come in here. And you see a lot of freshmen play, not only for the Illinois and the Indianas, the newer, younger programs that are turning things around, but even your big-name schools.
Absolutely. 13 yards on that catch by Kornfeld. Only his 2nd reception of the game, but the guy drops nothing that's thrown his way. They fake the reverse. Pierre Thomas with authority up the middle. Nice run by the freshman to the 36-yard line. Lamar Woodley, another freshman, made the stop. True freshman on true freshman there.
Well, I think Ron Turner's going to have some decisions to make. We've talked about the true freshmen at the running back. You got E.B. Halsey, you got Marcus Mason, you got Pierre Thomas. I'm not convinced that Ron is going to leave one of those guys on the bench if you play 2 backs. He's going to have to find positions to get all 3 of them on the field.
You're right. I think you're right. It'd be interesting to see. Maybe one of them might move to a wide receiver spot, depending on the speed capability. 2nd down. And he drills it into Kornfeld, who makes a diving grab inside the 20. Nicely done by Dustin Ward, and a great catch for 23 yards by Mark Kornfeld. Behringer and Shazor had the coverage for Michigan.
Give any quarterback a receiver that runs precise routes and can catch the ball thrown to you, and you want that guy on your team. And that's Mark Kornfeld. Maybe not the fastest, but he gets to where he's supposed to be, and you can count on him coming down with the ball.
They fake the handoff, misdirection play to Kornfeld, who is starring on this drive inside the Michigan 10 down to the 7-yard line. So does a 2nd down coming up, and about 1.5 yards to go. There's a look at Kornfeld. 3 of those receptions coming on this drive.
And I don't think any of the receptions have been easy.
No, nothing easy.
And not because he makes the easy look hard. He makes the hard look as easy as you can.
Yeah, indeed. I was wondering where you were going there for a moment, but you got it.
I didn't know. I just kind of ad-lib and get wherever you get.
Yes, wherever your mouth takes you. Oh, nice run right there, and that is Pierre Thomas. And he made a couple of good moves there through the hole off the left side of the offensive line. 7-yard touchdown run for Illinois.
Nice job by Thomas, having some patience and letting that hole develop, and then, as you said, an excellent move to get through it.
So a little something to build on maybe for Ron Turner and company as they head home for their homecoming next week. And the Golden Gophers of Minnesota coming in.
You got to wonder what the Gophers are going to come in. They get beat last week in a thriller right down to the wire. They're playing a tough Michigan State team today behind. You got to wonder what their mindset will be as well.
Extra point is good. Yes, you've got to wonder because Michigan State at the moment is handling Minnesota in Minneapolis. 5:33 left to go in this one. Michigan continues on a hefty advantage. Michigan leading it 49-14, but something for Illinois to build on. A couple of second half touchdowns perhaps. Came in here with a redshirt freshman quarterback. And then Dustin Ward, their senior quarterback, was able to deliver on the drive. Mark Kornfeld had 3 catches on that drive, 44 yards. Steve Weatherford on the kickoff. Good leverage into this kick. Carl Tabb back deep, makes the catch at the 12. Tabb just slipped and fell. The Gremlins got him. Came right out of that turf. Tripped him up at the 20-yard line.
Sometimes you just get a little over anxious to make a play happen.
So Weatherford heads back to the Illinois bench. And some support for the Illini here. They'll have a lot of support, you would hope, in Champaign next week. But Michigan back on the field, as you can see in the background, offensively, with a 1st and 10. Jerome Jackson is the tailback. Tyrese Butler in motion. And Jackson gets the call. Nice hole off the left side of the offensive line for a gain of about 6 yards to the 30-yard line. The outstanding back of the game is brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. And there he is, Chris Perry. Much of that done in the first half. 24 rushing attempts, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, he really played well in that 4th quarter at Minnesota a week ago. In the passing game, he caught a ton of passes on the screens.
And what he brings to the offense, which is so valuable, is he's a back that you need on the field in the passing game because he can pick up blitzes, but yet he gives you that as a running back because he's so good running the ball. Here's his first touchdown run, which was just an outstanding run as he really started to set the tone. We knew what Michigan wanted to do coming in here, set the tone, dominate at the line of scrimmage, and with Chris Perry coming out running as hard as he has all day, really provided some leadership in that area.
So did he jump back into the Heisman race? When we see that graphic next week, is he there? Does he make the top 3?
Well, he's taking a step. How big a step? I don't know that he gets into the top 3, but certainly on his way in the right direction.
Brian Thompson rumbling and stumbling into Illinois territory. The big fullback, Kyle Kleckner, makes the stop 19 yards downfield. First down for the Michigan Wolverines.
I think Chris Perry takes a bigger step as Michigan starts to play the Purdues and win those games, and the Michigan States and some of the better teams.
I was going to ask you about someone, but you know what? I'm not going to. I think he belongs in consideration, but he, from the get-go, never was considered. First down from the 40-yard line. Jermaine Gonzalez, who came here as a quarterback, the man in motion, now a wide receiver. Jackson again. Boy, do they have a stable of backs. Jerome Jackson, freshman running back. Mike Wallach and Sharif Abdullah on the tackle. What is going to be really, I think, something that's unusual for Michigan, where they've had such great quarterback talent over these last 10 years or so, is that you mentioned they're only going to have next year at spring ball, as of now, 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster.
Well, I think that goes back to the Drew Henson. When Drew Henson was going to come here, nobody wanted to come here. He kind of scared everybody else away, and for good reason. And they just have not been able to recruit since then. Then you start playing John Navarre. And Navarre is a sophomore as a starter, so people don't want to come here and sit maybe 3 years before then. So I think you're seeing the residual of that.
Jerome Jackson picking up another first down as Matt Gutierrez, a redshirt freshman, runs the offense. And Lloyd Carr said of him, the intangibles will make him the successor to John Navarre here at Michigan. Intangibles are what they hold so dear in terms of this prospect. He also has a good arm, it looks like, and a nice release.
Nice physical ability, outstanding work ethic.
Jackson being featured. I beg your pardon, that was Pierre Rembert on the carry. Time now for the AT&T Wireless Player of the Game. Steve Breston, 96 return yards and a touchdown, including a career-long 74-yard punt return touchdown. Play he made on the sidelines, which is kind of dangerous to pick it up there in the first place. Reversed field, came all the way across, and then ran to daylight, as they say.
He has really been the player that has given this team, not just the offensive team, but the entire team, that big play. 13 plays of over 20 yards this year.
Gutierrez on the run, just a bit wide of the mark, intended for the big tight end. Here's the punt return we talked about a moment ago. Steve Breston back in the first half.
Well, it's one of those where Illinois actually had good coverage, had him pinned in, but you give a guy that's a playmaker the chance to make a play, and he takes advantage of it and just turns it into what was a beautiful return.
There's Steve Breston, had most of the second half off, as did Chris Perry.
You know, Lloyd Carr doesn't get excited about a lot of people. He did Anthony Thomas when he was here. We would talk it, and you could see it. You see the same thing with Steve Breston.
Jackson motoring to the 10-yard line. First down for the Michigan Wolverines on a gain of about 12 yards.
Boy, they just keep coming at you, don't they?
I mean, they bring them in waves. And you sit there and you say, Randy, you know, some of these guys could start for other teams in the Big Ten.
Most of these guys could start for a lot of the teams. But, you know, Michigan has a unique ability to bring these guys in, and they're okay with learning how to block, with learning how to be the backup. And then when they get their year or two in the spotlight, they're happy with that.
Jackson to the end zone, and he stepped out just short of the pylon. They're going to mark it at the 1-yard line. And he had an escort, I want to tell you.
Well, Illinois knows Michigan is running the ball, and they still can't quite get over there and put a stop to it. This offensive line is doing a nice job here late in the game.
Both teams have substituted liberally here in the second half. And Randy, regardless of the score, you never like to see someone in the final minutes of a game, even a blowout game, just take it and run it right at you, like Michigan's doing on this drive. Here's Jackson again. Look very similar to the same call as before, and this time he's in for another Michigan touchdown.
Well, with fans are left here in Ann Arbor, certainly glad to at least see another score on the board.
Jerome Jackson, the freshman out of Saginaw, Michigan, Saginaw High School. Garrett Rivas for the point after. And he's been busy in that department, and he pokes another one through. You know, not much has been said about the kicking game, but we'll talk a little bit about it coming back. Garrett Rivas, the true freshman out of Tampa, has solidified things for the Michigan Wolverines. Well, catching up on our sleep there at a Michigan homecoming game. Safely in Dad or Grandpa's arms. There's the Michigan scoring drive. Garrett Rivas, I mentioned as you see the season high in points, Garrett Rivas has solidified the field goal and extra point situation for Michigan. He doesn't kick off, but last year Michigan used 3 different field goal kickers, and they missed 12 of 24 field goals last season. Kickoff carrying toward the far side. And here comes Thomas. Pierre Thomas out across the 20-yard line to about the 23. Back to Mike Gleason in the Big Ten studio.
And Wayne and Randy, hold on to your seats. Let's go to Madison, Wisconsin. Jimmy Leonard, you know all about this guy. He fumbled the punt against Ohio State, but check this out. Finds a nice lane, some poor angles by the Purdue defenders, but some pretty good speed by Leonard. 64 yards, touchdown, tied at 23. Now, the last 3 games between Wisconsin and Purdue, the winner has gone to the Rose Bowl, guys. Now they're tied at 23.
What a ball game going on there, and look at the standings, and this is a big day in the Big Ten for many of the top teams playing each other. Michigan is one of those top teams, and they're winning easily here today, but they're gearing up for the stretch drive. Overall in the Big Ten, here's a look at Michigan State on top. Iowa and Ohio State coming up. You don't see Iowa on that page, but they would be in the hunt too if they can get a win at Ohio State.
Be interesting to see how Ohio State can come back and play after that loss last week at Wisconsin. A very emotional game for them as well.
2nd and 7. Ooh, hit made in the middle of the defense. My goodness. Larry Harrison in the mix. A redshirt freshman defensive tackle really put a lick on the Illinois running back.
Any coach, whether you're on the winning sideline or the losing sideline, wants to see his team play hard to the end. Nice play that time by Larry Harrison. Not just going through the motions, coming in and making a play.
3rd down for Illinois, about 11 yards to go. And we're under a minute to go in the game. Impressive performance here by the Michigan Wolverines. Ward sets up a screen over the middle. Jason Davis across the 30 to about the 31-yard line. As time continues to wind down, Joey Sorrentos and Prescott Burgess on the stop. And we're inside of 20 seconds to go. So the Michigan Wolverines post the victory. Meanwhile, the Fighting Illini of Illinois continue a very difficult season. They fall to 1-7. 0-4 in Big Ten play, while Michigan improves to 6-2, 3-1 in Big Ten play. For Randy Wright, Beth Mowens, Wayne Larrabee, and that'll wrap it up from here, at least for the moment. Chris Perry, a big day. John Navarre threw the football well here today, and Michigan rolls over Illinois 56-14. We send it to the studio, and Mike Gleason.
Well, that's going to be a big ball game. I tell you right now, they better be ready to play. Purdue's got an outstanding offensive team, but the defense is what surprised me, the way they're playing on defense.
Now, we're going to get up to Madison in a second, but you look at Joe Tiller, a lot of expectations there. They have to go to Wisconsin, they have to go to Columbus, and they have to go to Ann Arbor. That's a tough road to hold.
Still a lot of big football games left to be played in the conference. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, so it's a 56-14. Michigan wins it now. Purdue, Wisconsin, the only school still unbeaten in league play. The Boilermakers and Badgers met in Madison today. Jim Sorgi, 18 yards to Lee Evans. And Lee Evans, of course, the big catch against Ohio State for 79 yards last week. Very next play, Sorgi goes down, and he is out of the game. He is done for the day, Coach.
He's out of the ball game. This is 2 weeks in a row he's been out of the ball game. And give the young quarterback, Matt Swibert, a lot of credit. He comes back in, does a nice job with the Wisconsin offense.
John Standiford, not a bad player here. Catches, would have been a touchdown, but stepped out of bounds. They kicked the field goal. Now Anthony Davis, he coughs up the football. Second fumble of the day. Purdue up 23-16 at this juncture. And then we pick it up with the cut-in we had just moments ago. Jimmy Leonard with a big punt return.
Jimmy Leonard, you think special teams aren't important? Watch Jimmy Leonard right here. 64-yard touchdown pass. It looked like they were going to lose the ball game. Came out of nowhere on special teams and tied the game up.
Hard to believe that Jimmy Leonard was a walk-on. He led the nation in interceptions. Look at the score, 23-23. And you see the time to go, $1:16. Purdue's inside the 10-yard line. And keep in mind, each of the last 3 in the series have been decided by exactly 1 touchdown. They went into overtime in 2000. Looking at the defensive numbers today and for the season, giving up 12 points a game and 72 yards rushing. You look at that defense now. Joe Tiller said earlier this week that he thought that Barry Alvarez had the most physical front four on Wisconsin since Alvarez has been in Madison, but really Joe Tiller's defense is the key to their football team.
Purdue's got an outstanding defensive football team. Let me tell you something else. Don't count out the Iowa Hawkeyes. That front four for the Hawkeyes is pretty good also.
All right, Purdue inside the 10-yard line, so we're going to keep you updated on that game. But first of all, let's go up to the Metrodome. Michigan State and Minnesota both 6-1. Second half, it's 1st and 10. Lawrence Maroney, true freshman, 31 yards, gets it down to the 2-yard line. Leads the way for Marion Barber. Touchdown at 24-17. And then check this out. DeAndre Cobb.
100-yard touchdown return. Again, let's go back. How important are special teams, Mike?
Oh, very, very important. This guy had that bum ankle earlier on. He was leading the Big Ten in kickoff returns. Assad Abdul-Khalik, 17 yards. Aaron Hosack, nice grab. The receivers doing a great job for Minnesota today. But Michigan State still in the lead, 44-24. Now, Michigan State playing 3 straight games without a turnover. And again, we go back to you, and you say that's the key.
Well, last year they were -10 in turnover ratio. This year they're plus about 10 this year. And they're playing great defense. They're 3rd in the Big Ten in total defense. So I think that's the difference in the Michigan State team this year and last year, along with the great career our great year that Jeff Smoker's had.
30 of 46, 245. No touchdowns, though, for the season, 66%. And you go, Jeff Smoker, of course, he's getting all the accolades. He's the marquee player for Michigan State. But John L. Smith, they were accused last year of quitting in several games, but John L. Smith has instilled this heart of the lion type attitude on the defensive side of the ball.
I'm going to tell you, right now, John L. Smith is my coach of the year, national coach of the year. He's done a great job. He only lost 1 ball game. You know, early in the year, he's got this football team playing good offense, good defense, good special teams. Right now, they're in the driver's seat in the Big Ten.
In a couple of weeks, they have Michigan. Now, earlier, we'd be sitting here in the studio. There's no way, like let's say early September, I'd say there's no way Michigan loses to Michigan State this year. All of a sudden, that attitude is changing in East Lansing.
Well, that attitude is changing, but there's a lot of football left to be played. I mean, you got, they got to go to Ohio State. They play Michigan. There's a lot of football left to be played.
All right, so some great games right now. Purdue inside the 10-yard line. About a minute to go in that ball game. They're tied at 23-23. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with our final thoughts. And hopefully that Purdue game will be history. Michigan, 3-1 now in the Big Ten, 56-14 over the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Ooh, Purdue just scored. Final score from the Big House this afternoon. The Michigan Wolverines 56-14 over the Fighting Illini of Illinois. And a quick check of the Big Ten standings right now, Coach. Of course, some big games going on. Michigan State, Wisconsin, Purdue, all undefeated. Purdue now inside the 5-yard line. There's 22 seconds to go. The clock is running up in Madison.
Purdue wins this ball game. Looks like they're going to kick a field goal or score a touchdown and win this ball game. They win this ball game, in my opinion, they're the team to beat. They got to go. They still got to play Michigan. They still got Ohio State, but they got the best balance of any team in the Big Ten right now.
You talk about football teams being spent emotionally. As a head coach, do you know if your team's going to be flat? Like, let's say Purdue's going into Ann Arbor next week. I think you know by Wednesday. Do you know after the first series? Or when do you know if they're going to be flat?
Mike, Purdue's not going to be flat when they play Michigan or Ohio State. I can tell you that right now. Joe Tiller's an outstanding football coach. He's got the best balance this year of any Purdue football team he's had. They play great defense. They're good on special teams. They can run the ball, and you know they're always going to be able to throw the football.
Well, and again, the Boilermakers inside the 5 actually looks like they're closer to the 2. There's a timeout. There's about 20 seconds to go. We'll be back next Saturday, of course, for more Big Ten football. We'll take it to Champaign, Illinois, when the Illini entertain Minnesota. Good chance to check out Marion Barber, the 3rd. Coach, you feel he is the best back in the league this year. Coach and I are here with the pregame show at noon Eastern. Wayne, Randy, Beth have the kick at 12:07. For John Cooper and the entire ESPN Plus crew, this is Mike Gleason saying so long. Our final score, once again from the Big House, 56-14 Michigan over the Fighting Illini. Now, this has been a presentation of ESPN Plus, the worldwide leader in collegiate sports television. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks.